This scotch is gross.
We still had to buy it.
Yeah, I know, right?
Gross and expensive.
What's up, man?
Oh, not much. I'm just jazzed to be back out this way. I'm just a little sunburned.
I think we're all kind of recovering, right?
Yeah. I'm probably more drinking this weekend for me than I have done in 2022. So,
Man, I wish I didn't really get a chance to drink as much as I have in the past, but that's kind of a good thing because I feel like I was able to get home, get refreshed.
yeah.
I did some other fun guy type stuff that was pretty awesome. But other than that, man, I had a good buzz going on. That was it. I never got fucked up. So.
Yeah, I maintained a pretty even keel, but still, we had there was a couple nights wandering back to the tent that.
Where'd you end up camping at out there?
Way down. I don't know, from the pavilion. If you walk just straight out, what would be to the left as you come out in the main road. So way on the end.
Where that little big pond is over there.
Yeah. It was fairly quiet. So
it was quiet. Yeah, that's what some of the people were talking about. Where we camped like right there in that little first little corner. People were bitching about it being loud, but I was like, well, we kind of got to be close to all this shit. So if we go camp way off in the cut,
yeah, that's where the loudness is going to go.
Yeah, and then sometimes like wherever we camp is kind of where a lot of things congregate. So if we're way off in the back corners of it, then it just takes away from the center. You know?
Yeah, you kind of want to be the central hub.
Yeah, it was a unique year, but you guys can't. So this is your first time ever coming down this way on a bike?
First time.
You ever done any long distance trips?
Longest rip straight for me has been from Minnesota to Sturgis. So
Okay.
I did that last season. I sent my trailer with some buddies.
Mm-hmm.
They were bringing a bunch of people out on bikes, so
Yeah.
I couldn't stop in the shop. So I said, "You guys take off. I'll catch up." And I finished work for the night and jumped on and
Just ran out there.
so
Yeah.
that was it was a different thing for me. I'm not used to riding solo and then any distance. So it was awesome.
Seems like Minnesota has a nice little performance bike scene, or at least they got the shops up there to kind of prove it.
Yeah, it's a cool place. I'm super excited to be part of like this community in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Like I'm super pro like our area.
Yeah.
And then you got all these. There's some rad bikes up there for being Midwestern.
Okay. But yeah, I still haven't been there yet, man. The closest I've been there is SNS so far.
Yeah.
But man, I don't know. I was hoping this year for the hometown rally that we can kind of go up and do the whole Great Lakes loop, and then kind of dip over to like St. Paul,
Big killer.
all that, and then kind of dip back through like what do they call them, the Dells or some shit?
Yeah, Wisconsin Dells.
Wisconsin Dells.
Yeah,
So.
you talk a lot about doing a ride that I've wanted to do. So I used to live in Detroit or north of Detroit, and I want to take off from the Twin Cities, rip through the UP, and down visit family and do that whole thing. But Michigan's a cool place, and like the UP's.
For some reason in my head, it maybe Michigan is, but I always thought it was just a super big flat place.
No.
Kind of like Indiana and shit. But that little part of like Muskegon, I guess, when I got off the ferry that time, I was like, man, it's fucking beautiful.
No,
It's
I've never
like a
taken that.
puzzle type place.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I dig
Beautiful
that shit. And then we rode with Charlie, and then we had ridden up like the coastline a little bit, and it's like
especially that side. It's very.
it's got ocean vibes for real. You know what I mean?
Well, that's a big ass lake.
But I haven't been as far north. I literally just did that. Grand Rapids. Haven't been to Detroit yet ever.
Yeah.
So that's one place I really want to get out to.
It's an interesting place for different reasons. Like, the history there is immense. Like that used to be my favorite. We'd go and explore and, like the train station and all that. It's all the same stuff you hear about. But it's like, it was such a crazy place, and then to just like see it now, it's like, oh hell.
That's one of those things on YouTube whenever a video pops up about like the rise and fall of Detroit as far as like the automotive culture or industry there.
Yeah.
I always like stop and watch that shit. Just that kind of history, just like I feel like there's valuable information in there to kind of, as ambassadors of an industry that's not nowhere near as big at all, but like you got to be able to see the signs as things change.
Well, and it's wild that, one industry can cripple towns like that. Like that's what's super interesting to me. Like you can just shut down an entire area.
Yep.
So
Well, that, it's a funny point because it was when I started learning about that and understanding that I started to understand, like, when you're traveling on bikes and you go through these small towns, you kind of see that hub that is the place where everybody works, and or the places, whatever, and you just realize, like, fuck, man, like, that thing goes away, that truck stop goes away, this 4-block little spot in the middle of nowhere is done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's wild. Just small communities like that can just go away with one pen stroke, effectively.
We've been pretty fortunate here in Texas. There's been so many big corporations moving here. I mean, between obviously all the California companies moving here,
exodus.
But we've had quite a bit of forever. We've had Toyota's main hub is out of here. There's a bunch of shit out of here. Now I guess we got Google coming to Red Oak now.
I heard that. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I know there's some big companies coming this way. That's like, we've got 3M, we've got Best Buy, we've got and my wife works for a company called Lino Lakes, which is huge in the dairy.
Yeah, the butter, bro.
Yeah, she's my butter princess.
She's the one that's got it's got the Indian with the feather, right? Or they get rid of that?
Not
they got rid of it. Oh, they folded.
Then they started cracking jokes. Typical white man. Get rid of the Indian and keep the land because the landscape behind her is the same. It's like, oh my goodness.
They spun that. The internet got a hold of it. What happened?
Just ran with it. So then they did a little skit on SNL, about Aunt Jemima, Uncle Ben, and then they're like, calling the Land O'Lakes lady, like. So that was fun. But there's Minnesota's got a lot of big business.
How's the mall?
I feel like I told you I haven't been to the mall in a few years, but it's
okay.
If you're into malls, it's a good mall.
There was always an excitement about going to the mall, like to see what shoes are out.
Do you have a mall that has roller coasters?
No, that's what I was gonna say.
That's a whole nother level of mall. So there's that, and all those crazy, gone are the days of like Rainforest Cafe and all that, like that goofy stuff. But in regards to a mall, it's wild. Is
it still on and popping there? That you know of, or is it kind of like? Because I feel like a lot of malls out here, like a lot of the big department stores have kind of gone away, and now it's a lot more mom and pop style things. Because
I've not been there probably 3 years to the Mall of America. I haven't really heard, like, when I used to live in Michigan, people would be like, "Oh, ask me questions about the Mall of America," and it's like, yeah, it's wild, and like it seemed like more of a destination, and I don't know if it's still that. So I guess I don't really know.
Yeah, I can understand that being a destination. It is a draw that probably for people to come to,
I remember being little and they had the underwater world and there's sharks swimming over top of you in this tube. You're inside of a shopping mall, like something to wrap your head around. But
doing it big out in the Midwest, I guess.
You gotta have something.
So when did you get into bikes, man? What was that kind of?
So I graduated high school and I bought a Yamaha R6. I went new to the dealership and bought a brand new bike for some reason. Probably not the smartest thing anybody's ever done, but...
What year R6 was it?
Would have been 07.
Okay.
So I went and bought that. So I guess it was a couple years after high school.
I think I remember. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
They're beautiful, like the candy red. Like.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know which one, yeah.
And then my ma wasn't real excited about it, so they'd come over and I'd like push it over to the neighbor's house and shit. I was a grown man, like I don't know what I was worried about, but yeah, I rode it. I had my first son somewhere in there. Just kept riding it, and after a while, I had a couple buddies that rode pretty hard, and they kind of just dwindled, and we went separate ways. And got another bike shortly thereafter. My son's mom's brother rode a lot, so we rode around enough. But then I started getting big into cars, and that's part of Detroit, at least was for me.
So was this in Detroit at the time?
Yeah. Okay. So I moved right after high school in 03. I moved out to Detroit. That's where my mom's from. And we rode, and then I started kind of running around some car guys. So like that consumed me. But then I moved back to Minnesota in 2013. I had some buddies that were kind of building some like backyard chops and like doing cool shit. And I'm like, I want to get another bike, but I want to get a Harley.
Yeah.
Found a 07 Sporty. Like this will work. And just rode it for a couple years, put some bars and pipes on it, and big apes, and did the thing. And that bike's still running. One of my close friends has it, and
nice.
He bought it from me. I went and got the Road Glide.
I think that fits it though. I mean, like I know we like to poke fun at apes, but there's certain bikes that if I bought, then that's the only kind of handlebar that's allowed to go on that bike in my eyes.
That specific.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get that.
And trust me, there was a point in time where my picture in my head of like me riding said bike was with apes.
Yep.
And that was like my dream view of myself, if you will. But I mean, my first Road Glide, I almost wanted some Yaffy monkey bars more than I wanted the fucking Road Glide.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Just wanted to be part of the club.
Like, I want these fucking bars. They look so cool. You know what I mean?
When I got that Road Glide, first thing I did was put a set of slip-ons and some factory 47s. Me and everybody else that had a fucking Road Glide back then, like.
I remember when they came on the scene, man. They came real fucking hard and strong. They pushed the dealer market real well.
Yeah.
Because I met those guys real early on when they first started out there in California.
They sold a fucking pile of handlebars for the next several years. Like, it's wild, but that's what it was. And you go with the flow, and then you kind of start finding your way. And for me, the Road Glide was like just trying to figure out the world.
Yeah,
and then I'm by trade, I'm a diesel mechanic, like construction equipment, so backhoes, bulldozers, that type of shit, and a parts guy. Like, that's been what I've done my whole life. Yeah. So, like, as I started to, like, get in that world and, like, look into parts procurement and figure that out, and I'm like, huh. So I met my wife and all that, and I actually leased my Road Glide to a guy. Like, had the stretch bags and that, not big stretch like the good
4-inch ones, like the normal ones.
Yep, ones everybody's got, and leased it out to a guy. Had a real tight little contract going, and I had a Dyna frame that I had bought, and I'm like, fuck it, I'll just do this. I need to start saving some money and do some different stuff. So I built what is my blue and gold Dyna, or was my blue and gold Dyna as of a month ago. Yeah, I was
wondering because I saw it on your page quite a bit, but I didn't know if it was like a customer's bike or if it was yours.
No, that's kind of what kicked off the shop. Like, I built that in the garage. I was working in the dealership circuit, and that kind of dissolved. I actually started private performance while at the dealership, like not with the intentions of like I'm going to run a shop and work at the dealership, but like make T-shirts, stickers, whatever, just fuck around. It was something for me to do, and got called into the office one day, and they're like, you can't have both.
Oh, that's weird.
So a couple weeks went by.
Even though it didn't even conflict with each other at all?
It wasn't about, like, this was basically just me keeping track of the shit I was doing in my garage, like, building a cool.
Almost every mechanic works on bikes in their garage.
Yeah, I wasn't a mechanic. I was a parts manager, though.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know if that was a...
Maybe they were thinking you were, like, taking parts or some shit like that, or... I don't want to put that out there, but I mean...
No, it's hard to say, and then they kind of gave me the ultimatum, and... talked to my wife, I talked to people close to me, and it was like, maybe it's time to make a change. Like, I was good at what I did. We made a lot of money, but wasn't happy. That thought process right there. I mean, you got put an ultimatum, so you had to sink or swim, basically, right? But I could have pulled it down and just kept on keeping on too.
What, man? How's that? What's it like? You know what I mean? Going through that kind of situation where you've got a career, and you're at the point now where you either got to go all in on this or quit. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, what's that like? Because I'm fucking feeling it now.
Scary was the word. So I talked to my wife, figured some smaller things out, like this is guaranteed, or not guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed.
Yeah.
This is
steady.
A paycheck. I know it's coming as long as I keep doing what I need to do.
Yeah. This
is a question mark, and that's a little unnerving. Together we've got 5 kids. Whew. We got
I need to have something else. I need some hobbies, dude.
Yeah, we're before my youngest son, like we kind of jokingly referred to ourselves as the Brady Bunch. She had 2 girls, I had 2 boys, and then we just had our youngest together a few years back, and like you got a lot of mouths to feed, so it's but the more we talked about it, it just made sense. So I went and paid off a bunch of bills. I paid off her car. We don't
got the overhead, the monthly overhead down as low as you could. Yeah.
And said if we don't make a nickel for a year, we'll be okay.
Yeah.
So fuck it, let's do it. So we started doing it, and about 3 months in, I was like, I can't even keep up with what the fuck's going on here. Like, I been working in dealerships and building relationships for years.
Yeah.
So like for me, it was like people would call me like, hey, can you do this? Can you do this? And it's like, yeah, come on down. And it was, kind of, it would just make you take a step back and just like, holy hell, this is a viable thing.
Yeah.
And that's what was so big about it for me is like, I knew from then we can make a run at this. I didn't know what the fuck was going to happen during the winter. Mm-hmm. Like that's a whole different ball of wax, but we can make this work if we can progress through the cold months.
I'm sure this is what you did, but I imagine that for all the northern shops, northern states that have shops in them, you got to rely on social media and the internet to kind of fill in that gap that you're not going to get locally with sales and things like that.
And I started, we built a website, like I said before it was I just started loading parts onto the website, stuff that I believed in. Mm-hmm. The suspension I use, the seats I use, the parts that I can attach. Obviously I'm not going to load the whole drag book in there. It would take me an army of 10 people to figure that interface out. But I'm not Mr. Computer. Like
I feel like I like that approach better than the whole drag book, because I feel like when people put the whole drag book in there, not to talk shit at all. This is not like a throwing shade at the situation, but I can't imagine wanting to deal with the guy that's ordering such a random part that a place like Revzilla has so many people working there to handle all those kind of questions and things.
Yeah, I wasn't shooting to be Dennis Kirk or Revzilla. But it was parts that if you came into my shop physically,
you would have kept them on the wall or something like that.
Yeah, we keep Legend suspension in the shop. Mm-hmm. Like that's something we've sold a ton of. I always have, and it's something easy for me. I like to sell what I use on my personal bikes, and that's because then I can say, well, it's this because I use it because of this, and this is why.
Yeah.
Whereas if somebody asks me, and I'll be real blunt with them, I hear it's great. I don't personally have any knowledge of it, but Jace on Fast Life said it was cool. So,
well, a lot of times people, brands I think are starting to understand this now. Is that back in the day, the goal for every brand or product manufacturer, if you will, was just to get more and more dealers to move those products, right? Yeah. But now, in the age we live in now, where people are looking for so much information on these products, it's almost like a dealer or the company itself can't put out enough information.
Yeah.
So they actually, I think customers now value the input from either YouTube or the internet in some form or fashion, even though it's not a good one, but like Facebook groups, shit like that. Like they value that context. And I think that shops now play a different role than they did 20 years ago, where they're not also just the guys selling it. They are also like in some form or fashion a brand ambassador for these products.
Yep.
You have your shit works, whether it's stuff you've ridden or things that you've installed and haven't had issues with, and you get customer feedback. So you become a wealth of knowledge on these products.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
Know what
I mean? That's the big deal is you got customers that will ask you for something by name, and it's you run it because they want it, and then you kind of take that into your arsenal. Like, okay, he's got 10,000 miles on this. Mm-hmm. And he still loves it to this day. Yeah. So okay, maybe I'll try it. Because I'm known to like swap parts off of my bike to try something new just to know more about it. Yeah. So it helps like having that in your arsenal.
On my last bagger, not this current one, but the last one, I ran a lot of parts for 40,000+ miles, and some of them never gave me a single issue. I forget they were on the bike, and some of them, 20,000 miles need to be replaced. I think it's the one thing that's weird that is not talked about a lot is that you have your maintenance items like your brake pads, brake rotors, tires, obviously oil, clutches, things like that. But there's also like the things that will still work, but they'll get beat up over time. You know what I mean? Like whether it's the glass or the plastic for your headlight or the windshield or your mirrors, the backside getting just pelted with rocks, your fork legs. Those things have shelf lives too. They're not like one and done. You can always take them apart and recoat them or something like that.
And that's a lot of. There's a lot of stuff out there that got a bunch of miles on them, and that the coating's fading and chipping and flaking, and it's like, well, you put the miles down.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Like you're going to either recode or you're going to replace.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one thing we've always dealt with, being a shop that rides a lot. Like, it's just like this weekend, and also to kind of, you know, shout out Justin. It's like, from my machinist, like, you build this bike that's, you know, we were talking about this because we both got drenched on the way to the camp out, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck, my bike is never going to be as clean as it was when I pulled
put
it out of the
together.
shop. You know what I'm saying? And for him, especially with all that shit he built and the machining and things like that.
He's going to have some serious polishing at him. Better him than me.
Yeah, fuck all that.
I don't have that
fuck
kind
that
of
noise.
patience.
But, you know, same thing. It's like, you know, I didn't really want to take – I wanted to take pictures of my bike at the camp out, but it was still just covered in road grime, and then I got stuck in the mud, so the whole rear fender's covered in mud. So I'm like, man, I don't know if this is like the unveiling on the internet that I really want to do.
Like
you know
first look, just covered in sludge and shit.
So I want to kind of go through it and get it all as close to original clean as I can.
Yeah,
but
that's even if it wasn't muddy.
Yeah,
like just the road grime and the like grease, you know, like
fucking riding through the rain, man. Yeah. Like it packs every fucking crack on the bike.
Yeah, I gotta hose off the Challenger when I get back, and just we'll keep riding it till some.
You don't really have to pay attention to that bike, don't you?
Well,
just let it deteriorate.
If I want to ride, I got to do something, because the road glide's still in 1,000 pieces. But hopefully this weekend we can get that back up on the road. It's been a long waiting game.
When you were doing all the car stuff, like what was kind of like your thing in the car scene? Like,
so high school, we were real heavy in imports. I didn't really have a lot of money, so like, actually, when I moved to Detroit was right before high school ended. I moved out to Detroit. My parents are Marines, so when they left, I'm from California originally, Camp Pendleton.
Okay.
So when my parents split up, they went to their respective homes, Detroit and Minnesota. And I was just chasing opportunity. I needed to get kind of away from some of the shit I was running around with in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Thought that's how I was going to figure my own shit out, but got out there, bought a Honda Del Sol.
Okay.
First thing I did.
Those were still front, like the motor's still in the front, right?
Yep, front motor, a little two-door, had a Targa top.
It's basically a Civic, but it was like a two-seater.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I bought another one.
Yeah.
Not sure why, but I had a full-time job. Life was cool. I was working on Bobcats. So I was like, well, we'll just keep running with this. And then I ended up, we'd go to basically bike night, but car nights on Fridays. Yeah. Like, I spent the majority of my time out there on Friday nights on Woodward, like on the side of Woodward, street racing, doing dumb shit, hanging out with people, and ended up getting into Subarus after that. And then kind of I started growing up
progressing,
a little bit.
Yeah.
And a buddy I was living with, he had a 911 Turbo, and I kind of got the bug, and for something a little nicer, and I went and bought a BMW 135i, and we did a little bit of work to it, made some power, and we ended up doing we'd do these runs to like different places in the country, and it'd be like basically a mini cannonball type of thing.
Okay, that's dope.
And this thing, not an expensive BMW in the realm of expensive cars, like you're running around with guys and Murcielagos and stuff like this.
Yeah.
It's like, but oh man, the blast just burning through, and we do some autocross and a little bit of road racing. But
I'm embarrassed to say, but I've always talked about how much I loved Fast and Furious, right? Well, when I left that movie theater, I was in my Ford Focus.
Oh.
Hatchback.
Yep.
Two-door.
Gotta be.
And then so that was the first thing I ever tried to race, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, there was somebody to race. I mean, it was a different class, obviously, so there was still excitement in it. But when I got in the Nissans, that was really when we started putting real power down and making some,
Start playing with turbos and
exactly. But the crazy thing, what you said though, is like you're in Detroit running around on
imports.
I'm surprised y'all didn't have just bullies out there, just like
a bunch of Jasons walking around.
There were a bunch of guys in like Novas and Challengers and all kinds of stuff that were like they'd come fuck with you, and it was all in good fun. Like the car community out there is pretty chill for the most part.
Nice.
Like I remember when you say going to Fast Life, the Fast and the Furious premiere. I remember my cousin was dating a dude in a car club. I wasn't living out there yet, but we were out there, and we all mopped out there with this car club, and we were in the back of a 2000 Civic Si and the electric blue, like,
oh yeah,
you know, and everybody leaving, just doing burnouts and just having it at it.
The parking lot of the Fast and Furious movie premiere is like a bike or a car show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
A lot of neon.
Yep, everywhere.
Vinyl
Sound bumping out of people's audio systems in
A
the back.
bunch of NOS stickers.
And K&N stickers.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Man.
what they really had.
Life was simpler then, though. Straight up.
Was. And that's all I wanted. Like, just
Yeah.
I wanted to be part of that. And actually, when I moved out there, I joined that car club.
Yeah.
And never really, like, had the wherewithal to, like, live with some of these guys. I had a guy with a S2000 that was just done to the nines, like carbon fiber hard top on it, and this is in 2003. Like, and these guys were a little older, like probably older than I am now. But one of the dudes had a really nasty RX-7 too. Like, you guys are in a whole different caliber of shit than we're playing in here, but they were good dudes.
You know, now that I'm thinking about it, like when I first got into the car thing, in that Ford Focus, I feel so embarrassed saying it. You know, at the time, car clubs, this was 2001, 2-ish. Car clubs were like, at least they had kind of found me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know how big they were prior to that, but they seemed to kind of keep, everybody was starting one, right?
Yeah.
In Dallas, we had one called Dallas Racing. It was a really known club that rode around in Dallas. It was always getting coverage in like the news and shit because they would do the window stickers. Remember that was the thing back in the day?
The head on the, yep.
And they would always, they were more like Mustangs, like 5.0s and shit like that. Or what do they call those Mustangs like this? The Fox
SN95.
bodies.
Oh yeah, older.
Fox bodies, the square ones.
Yeah, I still love
And
me some
then,
Fox bodies.
so I ended up joining this club, and it's funny as hell because I remember my first window sticker that I ever got from somebody in my Ford Focus, by the way, was it was called STR for Stuck Throttle Racing, and I thought it was the stupidest name in the world, but I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm in a car club, hell yeah!"
Just jazzed.
I remember going to the first time like they did because this was all internet forums at the time.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yep.
It wasn't like no pictures.
Yep.
Just forums like
Oh,
conversations.
you could if you went into the photo bucket and click the link and like, yeah. It was. We had a little chat box on the top of ours at some point in time, and it was. I mean, it was the coolest thing you could do.
Yeah.
Like, people are at work, like typing.
I remember. So I went to the first meet, and it was like at some dude's apartment up in North Dallas, and they were all out in the pool, and I wasn't a drinker.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything. I didn't smoke. I didn't drink. I didn't do anything. But I was just like. I was like the enthusiast, like the fucking hungry ass kid just coming out there just wanting to absorb any of this culture or whatever. And I did that for like a month and a half, and then the thing kind of disbanded. And the guy that started it said, "Hey man, if you want this, you can have it." So next thing you know, I'm here.
You're running the club?
Running the fucking club with a Ford Focus. And there was a couple fucking like rippers in there, you know. One of the dudes I ended up becoming real good friends with had like a C5 Corvette.
Okay.
Back then, a lot of people just put nitrous on their shit and whooped everybody's ass.
Yeah, right. Like
it was easy.
a lot of them, it didn't take a whole lot.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's kind of where I got, I hate to use the word leadership kind of things, but maybe more of the fuck it, I'll do it kind of attitude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We don't have anybody else, so
Yeah.
I guess I can do it.
I was having fun, dude. Y'all want to keep this going? Let's keep it going.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Somebody's got to, otherwise just dissolves and you're back to just, okay, now what?
I guess I'll go look for another club.
Yeah, or just pick up another hobby, bicycling.
I mean, I was always enthralled with like I never, I grew up in a body shop working around cars and things like that, but I guess all the people in my life, my grandfather, my dad, my uncles, like they were, looking back now, other than my dad, everybody was very like great men, but they weren't the kind of men that the rap people were talking about. You know what I mean? It wasn't the world of like basketball that I watched. So like, I guess I didn't value who they were until I got older, right?
Yep, that's a part of the deal.
Yeah,
like, you don't realize that your dad's not an asshole until you either become a dad or you get up to an age and you're like, oh fuck.
My dad was pretty cool.
Yeah,
not mine though.
Oh well,
but,
yeah, I can't speak on
my
that.
grandfather though was the shit. But it's like you come down and then so I never really wanted to be a part of that like car mechanic, paint and body, all that shit. It was just like that shit's stupid. I want to. I don't care about what I drive. To me, it was like I was like wearing Jordans and trying to dress nice and play basketball. That was my life. You know what I mean? That fucking movie, dude.
Changed everything.
Changed everything.
I mean, for a lot of people.
Because I was always forced to go work in the shop, and I hated it because I was always getting dirty.
Yep.
And I'd always
You
get
have to
paint stripper in my
change.
face and shit. And then that movie comes out. I'm like, hell yeah, that's fun. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, my mom's uncle, the fuck up one, he's cool as shit, but he fucked up a lot in life. He found me a 280Z, like an early 80s 280Z.
That's gangster.
Yeah, but it wasn't a turbo. It was just a normal, like, inline six or whatever they put in there. And he said, here, it's yours. And one summer, like, I just spent the whole summer, like, using all these things that I was forced to do.
Yeah.
Like, getting the fucking, the steel wool and getting all the chrome trim looking good again.
Yeah.
And I found out that you can go to AutoZone and buy carpet. So, like, I was cutting my own carpet and redoing all the carpet in there. It looked like shit. But
you were doing
I was doing it, and I found that, like, I love that. And the other thing that I also did that I found that I loved working with my hands was when I was a kid playing basketball, all my friends, when they would get, like, basketball goals for Christmas, I would come over and build them. Like, be the one with the tools, wrenching it, and put it together.
I don't know what to do with this thing. And you're like, I got you.
Dude, I got this.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was thinking about that the other day when I was like, man, like, because I so many people that I know in my life, you hand them a tool and they're just like, you know, a ratchet, they're like holding it up and it falls around. Like, they have no idea how to use tools. They're just not mechanically inclined at all.
Yeah.
And all of it came so natural to me. And I feel like it was because of that joy of, you know, maybe looking at instructions and building something, Lego type shit. You know what I'm saying?
Big time. I was fortunate. I had a really good group of friends in high school that were all very handy in their own regards. I had a buddy that, like, knew how to fuck with fiberglass, and he'd make, like, speaker pods and kick panels.
Hell yeah.
And, when I moved to Detroit, all of them left and went to Wyotech and all kind of did their own, you know, like, specialty end of things. And I'm like, I'm gonna have a whole bunch of buddies that, like, do everything. This is gonna
figure
be
it out.
2 of them still own a hot rod shop local, which they do my paint work right now, and or at least on the last bike, and they're killing it. Like,
what was the place you went to? It wasn't Wyotech.
UTI.
UTI.
Yeah.
I like his place. It's like a urinary tract infection.
Yeah.
No, that's cool, man.
yeah, it's. I mean, but that was a big spark for me. It was like all my buddies are all these capable dudes. Like, I didn't get that, like, from my dad. Like, we weren't in the garage. Like, I held a flashlight or two, but I wasn't, you know, there wasn't anything outside of an oil change going on that was exciting. So,
my buddy, he came to the camp out, the first one, Chris. His dad was actually the one that I used to, like, I'd walk to his house and be like, hey, man, let's go play basketball. And he'd be stuck on the roof doing shingles.
Yep.
And his dad was that guy. He's like, Jace, get your ass up. And I'm like, fuck.
God damn, I should have stayed home.
So next thing you know, I'm up there learning how to roof and shit. So his dad was one of the ones that kind of every time he made a real effort to teach his son, my friend he was at the camp out with us, how to do shit. And I always got it by, you know, in like a, what do you call it, secondhand learning, if you will, because I'd always be there.
And at the time, you didn't think it was worth a damn, but probably looking back, you probably learned a couple things.
Yeah, it's so strange how, like I said, you know, when you see tools, it's everything's like for an unknowing mind, it looks massive. And where do you start? What do you do? Yep. But like I said, when you have to show you something, it kind of like dumbs it down. And one thing I learned a long time ago is like, unless I feel like I'm a dumbass, and there's so many people that know how to do so many things, that I should be able to figure out how to do a lot of these things. Yeah. As long as it's not like dunking a basketball, which is not going to happen for me.
Genetically, this isn't a thing.
If everything else can be figured out, it's just about how much you apply yourself to it, right?
But you're never going to learn everything. You'll never be able to do everything. So you always got to have a buddy, you know, a contractor, and you got a buddy that's a body guy.
I've always thought that's the key to some of the best shops or builders over the time is to hone the one thing that you want to be known for, and you know, and find the best people in the other parts, and kind of build the relationships. That way, you always have one of the best painters to do all your bikes, even if it's not wild paint jobs. You still want good quality shit on it.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you want
fabricators, mechanics. You know, there's a bunch of shit.
Yeah, so. There's a lot of hands in building something as small as a motorcycle.
Yeah,
you got a painter, you got, the mechanic, you got the guy,
the UPS driver.
Yeah, the UPS. That's my dog. I love my UPS driver. He's like the happy-go-lucky dude, and he's always like, "Big money in this box?" Like, yep, sure is. Like,
so don't touch it.
Yeah,
don't even look at it. No, that's cool, man. But yeah, I was wondering because you had said about like, doing the car thing. I just wondered what the dynamic was, because we always had a dynamic here in the street racing scene when the cars, where a lot of the clubs didn't, unless you were like, if you were in a primarily, American made cars, most import car clubs, it wasn't like, it was very segregated, if you will.
Yep, and it was like that too.
Okay.
But like once everybody got to where we were going, which the car club I was in hosted the Friday night meets way back, and then it kind of just progressed. Like, okay, we're just hanging out on Woodward. They'd shut 4 lanes of traffic down till the cops got privy to that. I mean, it took a couple of years though. Like, it was cool. Just you hang out all night long, and
those used to be some of the best. See, that back in the day, like there was so much excitement and fun in that.
Yeah.
So drinking never became a thing for me at that time in life.
We didn't drink at all back then. Like, I mean, I also had shortly thereafter I had my first son, so it was like, my 21 wasn't like a big like, oh my God, we're gonna get wasted. Like,
my friends tried to get me wasted.
I got a baby.
I think we went to a basketball court and drank Smirnoffs.
Woo! Smirnoff Ice.
I don't even know if they had ice yet.
Yeah,
I think it was like the OG Smirnoff. And you know what? Since I drank it, I was like, okay, I guess forever, if I would ever went anywhere that I felt like I needed a drink to fit in, I was just, let's get a Smirnoff. And I've always felt stupid as shit.
Yep.
I got, back in the day, going to like mini truck shows and shit, I just got pictures of me where I'm like chugging like a 40 ounce of Smirnoff, and I felt cool as shit.
Gross.
Not chugging it, but like, turning one back like, hey, I'm cool like you.
It's apple too. You're like,
dude,
get the apple Smirnoff.
But, oh man, this shit's back in the day. I don't know. I spent so much time in my life like being around whether it was car shows, then truck shows, then, being in the bike scene. And I guess when you're looking to, how do you fit in that stuff? If you want to be a part of the industry, you either got to pick a path in in whether you want to build, sell, paint, fabricate.
Yeah. You got to pick your avenue. And if you don't know how to build, you don't paint, you don't have, what I mean? If you don't, that's stuff that takes a lot of years to hone. Some guys have been doing it their whole lives.
That's what I said. We were talking about like the guys that pick a path, right? I feel like the longer you're around everything, the more that you pick up some of the other traits. Maybe not becoming like professionals. Some people do at those areas, but then it comes down to, you might be a part seller, but at some point you'll be able to know how to dial this bike in to make it look good, at least like the style that you would do. And I feel like knowing your parts books, knowing what's available, and knowing what kind of works together is kind of like, it's an art form itself. It's almost like, like I've heard lately, like people talk about, making a legit playlist is another form of art. Because like you're putting all this other art together in such a way that everybody enjoys it, right?
Yep.
That's what happens when you take parts and you put them together.
Oh,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean?
You can take, a dozen parts and make a fucked up looking bike if you do it wrong, or there's too much accent or not enough. Yep. You're like, why do you have this purple up front and like nowhere else on the bike? Like, what do you got going on?
All they had was purple available.
Yeah, they were back ordered for 6 months, like everything else. Super, but yeah, I mean that's something I don't know. I feel like I've been good at is like curating a parts lineup that works with itself.
Yeah.
So it just I just finished a road glide the other day, and it's black and gold. It's very very normal.
Yeah.
But it's not like overdone. There's everything's kind of spaced and simple.
There was at the camp out at the little show. I think you remember the giveaways, right? The chick that won one of the veteran things, did she have like a gray road glide with a bunch of carbon on it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That fucker was bad, dude.
Yeah.
I remember me and Justin were sitting there looking at it going like, dude, for a solid color bike with just carbon parts and some accessories, that fucker's dialed, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do without the crazy paint job. It obviously helps. Kind of set you apart from, because how many gray road glide apparently is the thing right now. Yeah. Like I thought I was cool when I got my 16. It was like charcoal pearl and black. Yeah. Like, all right, cool. Now it's like the resurgence of the gray. It's like, son of a bitch.
When you really think about that, across the board, automotive and in motorcycles, the primer gray somehow just fucks,
Yeah,
right?
it does.
But I wonder, when people talk about how the trends go, what becomes that new thing that everybody wants? You know what I mean?
What dictates
Remember when the
it?
Mystic Cobra came out and everybody had to have chameleon on
What you
everything?
mean, snake venom?
The snake venom, is that what it is?
That's what it is on Harley now.
Oh, snake venom,
Yeah,
yeah.
2021. Yeah, that's something. There's a.
Why don't they just call it oil spot?
Yeah, oil spot after a rain.
Or just expensive. I mean,
No, is it expensive?
Dude,
paint
that
to
shit's
color?
so expensive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes
It
sense.
goes a long way, but it's hard to get some.
it was ridiculous when they were painting the smart cars at the dealership.
For real?
Yeah, the paint job was almost more expensive than the car itself.
Yeah, that shit's like for, let's say a pint of that shit. What used a pint from like House of Color back in the day was like damn near $1,000 or something.
Yeah, it was
shit.
like basically $1,000, and then I think the cheapest that I've seen now recently is like $500.
Yeah.
Wow.
It goes a little ways, but a pint's not going to do a car.
Yeah.
So, and this was back in the day. This is like early 2000s. So
Yeah, now we're talking 20 years later.
yeah, it's definitely more expensive now. So
I guess I don't know anything about that world, like how much paint costs.
it's so expensive, bro. Everybody's been talking about how metal and those
Yeah.
kind of raw materials have gone up so much. It's the same thing with paint, man. Like
Yeah, it seems like it's almost everything. That's just anything that you need for any reason is just on the rise.
what's really, I mean, I guess this is exactly what was predicted by everybody when they gave us all the fucking money they put into the economy in 2020. Man, this shit is like it's going so fast. Usually, inflation happens at almost an unrecognizable rate.
Yeah, where you're
You know
not
what I mean?
like, holy shit, this is happening, but it's like,
But now it's like hitting so hard. I mean, we're getting ready to go across country on bikes, and I'm like, can the gas chill a little bit
on a bike too. That's
on a
what's
bike?
crazy. Like,
how much was it to fill up yours on the way down here?
120 maybe.
Just, I mean, like each time you would fill it up.
Well, we stopped every half tank, so.
Yeah.
we stop pretty frequent. But I'm between Justin Kelly's and here.
Yeah.
I just put $22 in my tank.
Yeah.
Like, it's a motorcycle. How the fuck? Where you?
What?
put
How many gallons is that?
That's
challenge?
6 gallon.
6 gallon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. So I mean, some of the places we're going to be riding the coastline from Northern California all the way up to Washington, and coastline gas stations
Yeah.
are like $7, $8, $9 a gallon.
Even worse.
And so I'm like, am I going to put a $75 gas in my a tank of gas is going to cost me $75?
You'd probably be the first one ever to do that. Like, I can't imagine anybody's filled up $75 on a motorcycle.
Well, like I said, everything's costing so much, and it's inflating inflating at such a rate that it's hard to adjust pricing quick enough. So a lot of us are taking like losses quite a bit. And I know the same thing. Like when I ordered all those Fast Life shirts, like the dude's like, "Look, man, cotton's up, bro."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Fuck me, man."
Yep.
Because a lot of people aren't used to paying $30 for a fucking t-shirt.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that's what it is, though.
Yeah, it's like,
if
what do you?
Are you gonna take a loss on a t-shirt? Just to have a t-shirt?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's been insane. I mean, I stopped taking in helmets a while back because I knew that I had to adjust my pricing, but I'm also worried because my helmets are very expensive,
Yep.
and so I have to make them more expensive now. Like I'm wondering, that's kind of one of the biggest reasons why I'm kind of trying to weed out doing bikes.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Because I dreamed of doing $10,000 paint jobs on baggers,
Yeah.
and now I'm like dreading it because it's not enough money.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You know?
And you wanted. That's what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then it's like, we took something that's already really expensive and made it really expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man.
$535. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm fucking not looking forward to the gas. But so when you moved back, why did you go from working on like diesels and the whole tractor stuff to the dealership? What was that push?
So working on construction equipment, backhoes and bulldozers and simple things that you do every day weigh 1,000 pounds.
Yeah.
And I was like, from my mid-20s on, like, you go home and your back's killing you. And it's like, I'm in my mid-20s. I'm trying to chase around my son. And it's
Yeah.
like, I got to just sit down. Like, you shouldn't be living like that in your 20s.
Yeah.
And the pay wasn't what it should, you know what I
So
mean?
essentially, you did 2 career-changing kind of decisions.
Yeah. Oh, big time. So I went from that to actually stop doing that and went to work at Harley, and then had a night job working on high-speed mailing insertion equipment, which, like, when you get your credit card bill and there's like 10,000 pieces of paper in there, it's a machine that does all that, like, autonomously, like, real fast. So I fucking hated that job. But when I met my wife, she's like, you're not doing this bullshit anymore.
Yeah.
I said, well, I'll tell Harley I'm done. Because, like, I wasn't making the money at Harley that I was at the other job.
Yeah.
She's like, nope, you love what you're doing there. So this is what you're doing. Like, and not that she's like a big pushy person, but like she knew what I wanted out of it. So that's what I did. So I started working at Harley, and that was it. Just kind of climbed
That's
through.
good. I mean, I definitely, like, when I met my wife, she kind of gave me the comfort at home to go out and focus on being better at my career.
Yep.
You know, and my career actually changed quite a bit and grew quite fast once I wasn't chasing ass everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
So-
that's the biggest thing. Like, and it's funny because you kind of always pick on and everybody does in the community, but like Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
Like, my wife watched so much Sons of Anarchy, she decided one day she wanted to buy a fucking motorcycle. That's how we met. She came into the dealership to buy a bike. I was her sales guy, albeit not a very good one. But that's how we met. And I tried to invite her to bike night, and she's like, "Oh, he's just being nice," or this, that, and the other. Finally got her to a bike night, and she's like, "I thought you were expensing the drinks." I'm like, "To a fucking who? Like, this isn't corporate, you know? Like, I just wanted to hang out." So 6 months later, we kind of started living together and got married.
Nice.
So, like, oddly enough for me, like, not that I'm like Mr. Sons of Anarchy dude, but it played a pretty big role in my current life. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I know that the world we live in now is all about like hate and talk shit and joke about things, and I get it. But no, that TV show it helped spread a lot more attention to performance style bikes across the country, or a style of bikes, club style, if you will, right?
It was the motorcycles, Fast and the Furious.
And you know what? I've said this a million times in the podcast before, but it's like, when I imagine if you like fight for a living as a MMA or boxer, and anytime there's a movie about that or a TV show about that you're probably kind of like, that's not real. Because
absolutely.
You know, like I used to love watching UFC. Could you put a real UFC match in a movie and people are going to watch it? No.
Either there's not enough action, or it's too fast, or
so it's like you have to make this palatable for people that aren't you,
and on a weekly basis too. It's not a one and done story. They got to like draw it out and keep going.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Sons of Anarchy went from being pretty cool to getting a little weird, but by that time we were so wrapped up in the whole dramatization about everything, or the story, they were like, yeah, that definitely would happen, but okay, like, where is this going to end? Same things happen for Fast and Furious. They're fucking in space, dude.
Yep.
They were street racing in Honda Civics, and now they're in fucking space.
Exactly. I bought the whole 9, whatever you want to call it, on Apple TV the other day. My wife bought it, and she's like, here you go. And I haven't seen the last few of them.
Yeah.
I'm like, this shit's fucking ridiculous. Like, what the hell?
I mean, but it makes sense because it's for family.
Yep. Family. All family. But, it's just like anything else, you know?
Yeah, so it's one of those, situations where I feel like people just get in these bandwagons. They just want to hate things because, everybody knows that hating on something or talking shit about it gets a lot more traction than positivity.
That's what the internet's all about.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to backfire in everybody's face at some point if they don't chill out with it. Yeah. But, I mean, I do my part as well. I hate on a lot of those things. So. Just talking shit.
Yeah, well, somebody's got to.
So you met her at you got her to come to bike night, and then how'd you run your game, dude?
Like I said, I invited her to bike night, finally came out, and she literally thought I was being polite.
Oh, not trying to get with her?
So she shows up at bike night with a male friend of hers, and they walked in, and I'm like, I just put my tail between my legs and like, whatever, here we, And I didn't talk to her for probably a couple weeks after that. I'm like, oh, she's clearly
Did you
not,
think she had like a dude or something?
well, I didn't, whether or not he was her dude, like clearly not interested in that, what I was looking for.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to be, you know, a reasonable adult because this is part of my job. You know, I met her through work, so I'm not trying to like be.
You think they fired you from that?
Yeah, right. But
Or asked you to leave because, hey man, we found out that
you're courting ladies?
married a customer.
Yeah.
So that's against corporate policy.
Yeah, no. But I didn't talk to her for a couple weeks, and then she just kind of hit me up at the night job in the middle of the night, like just shooting the breeze, and we ended up hanging out, and here we are. We've been almost married 5 years, and another kid later, and here we are.
Had to seal that one off.
Like the Burt Kreischer.
Yeah.
I wish. That dude's cool as hell.
I don't know what he means. This version of Burt Kreischer.
He said,
Wait,
I'm the calm
You're-
version of Burt Kreischer.
Oh, I get it. That's
Because
good.
I don't run around with the Russian mafia. Like, I can't help that. That guy's got some cool shit going on in his life. We do motorcycle stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that dude's fucking wild. But yeah, so what so after the dealership, like how, you know, when you decided to do the shop, like what was the whole what were some of the things that you did first to kind of get into that motion? You know, you mentioned like doing shirts and things like that.
Yeah.
Was it prior performance at that time?
Yep. It was prior performance from day one. It has been for years, at least in my head.
Yeah.
And I always had
What does the prior stand for? Like,
It's my last name.
okay.
Come on,
I thought it was
man.
like you had a prior convention.
That's
or
what
something.
everybody, you know, like what before performance, like what,
Well, I think it's someone that like uses that as kind of like their name. It's like they should come out with like a chain bracelet, and they should be like looking like Dog the Bounty Hunter because they got priors or some shit like that.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not that cool. I mean, I got a couple, but not that.
A whole bunch of
People think
no front license plate tickets from street racing.
Oh yeah, we don't.
Yeah, I don't have to do the front license plate up there, do you?
Yeah, we do.
Y'all do?
Yeah, Minnesota, we have front plates.
That's how they fucked us down here.
You guys have them?
Yeah,
Oh.
you got to have a front license plate on cars, but it's like you would never get caught street racing, but you get fucked up in the parking lots waiting to go street race.
Yep. Like, oh, I noticed you don't have a front plate. Here's
Yeah,
a ticket.
or hey, your inspection's out, and I'm like, because
Yeah.
and then they find out that I don't have insurance.
Hey, why don't you come talk to us over here? Fuck. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that was in its infancy. It was just going to be me, like, kind of documenting what I'm doing in my home shop. Mm-hmm. And once we did it, I just kind of opened the floodgates, and I started making some phone calls, and I started posting on our social media, which, I mean, 5, 6, 7 followers maybe. Like, not that I've got tons now, but got a fair amount more than that.
Yeah.
Like, and people just started coming, and people would call and started like kind of clicking with people, and it just started growing. And initially, my long goal was not to, just do oil changes and tires for the rest of my life, but was to build a name and kind of build a product line out of what we're doing. And I didn't know if that was going to be a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, or what, because there's a lot to all that. But it worked out that, we had a full shop, so that kept me busy. And then come the winter months, and then work on the website and kind of build the social media and work on all that stuff, and it just kept going. I was like, okay, this is something we can do. I don't know, like,
With the when you started getting ideas for your own products or your own parts, like the brags, things like that, like how did you, like when you started and you wanted to do products, like what was the thought process, like as far as how you started to find what it is that's going to be the product from prior performance?
So the initial plan anyways was not to ever step on anybody's toes. Like there's all these products exist, whether or not they're the best product they can be, but I'm not, if you make something and it works, I have no business fucking with it.
Yeah.
But if a product can be made better or has just been completely looked past altogether, well, okay, now we got something to fuck with. The brackets kind of happened out of necessity, and actually before I was even involved. So the gentleman who makes them, Trevor, I messaged him on Facebook one day, and I'm like, hey, I'd like to talk to you about getting one of these for my personal bike. And he sent one down, and nicest dude in the universe. Like, plus a funny Canadian accent. I get it. I like it.
Oh, you're not Canadian?
Oh, no.
You guys up there. You guys. What do y'all say up there? We say y'all. You don't have one of those?
You?
You said,
Oop. But yeah, he sent me one down, and I said, if this is what it looks like on Facebook, like I want a couple more. So I put it on and installed fast, and works, and it's good. So he sent me a couple more, and then I kind of talked to him, and I want this to be a product that we carry all the time.
Yeah.
And he's like, he messaged me back, and he's like, what do you think about this just being your product? Like, I'll produce it, you exclusively sell it.
Yeah.
I'll laser cut your logo or half your logo into it, whatever fits, because it ended up just being prior. And you handle the harnesses, the distribution, the lights, everything. So fucking getting into winter, I'm like, yeah, let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
And I never fucking thought it would turn into this. Like, I thought this was going to be a fairly, short term something to do, and the fucking orders just don't stop.
I wonder how long, if ever, that like Baja is gonna end up leaning back into the fact that their lights became so popular in this market. You know what I mean? Or are they just good
as of right now? I don't think they have any. I mean, they know it, but they don't pay it any mind. Like you see on like I follow them on Instagram. It's very infrequently that you see a motorcycle in their story. Yeah, it's like off-road truck, trophy truck, rock crawler, which I get it. That's where they cut their teeth, and that's where their money's at. Yeah. But I mean, I spend a ton of money a week. Like, I can't even fathom it on their lights. So you'd think we're making some kind of dent in their market.
It's so, the weirdest thing to me is and not to toot any kind of horns, but being a part of the performance bagger thing for so long, or on this side of the Rockies for as long as we have, it's wild to me that I ride places now alone, whatever. I show up in gas stations in the middle of nowhere, and there's another performance bagger in there. Yeah. And the weirdest thing is, like, they wouldn't even know about our brand. And I'm like, what the? Of course, that's my ego right there. But it's like one of those weird things where, like, on this side of the Rockies, we just, like, a lot of people would know about us or whatever the case may be. But this scene has gotten so much bigger in general. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Where, you're pulling up into a gas station now in fucking, the middle of Illinois, and there's a dude that has, Baja lights. He's got this, he's got that. And you're just like, usually, I guess I'm just used to when I see that out there on the bike, like, it's somebody that I already know of. They usually have Glide in the last part of their Instagram name. You know what I mean? Exactly. So, like, I know you. Yeah. Are you so-and-so Glide and Dada Glide and whatever? Minnesota Glide? And instead of running into, your traditional Black Street Glide, 14-inch apes, da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. It's like, huh. It just gets to the point where, and it's weird that now, there was dudes at the camp out, from my understanding, that don't know who we are. They just happen to be there? They came because someone else, I don't know. It's a weird one. Like, there's this dude there who lives in Dallas, or Dallas-Fort Worth, who has a really nice bike and never came to one of our bike nights, ever. Don't really think he knew who we were, but somehow he was there with some other guys that probably did. Of his buddies that. Yeah.
Okay. What bike was he on?
I don't want to go that specific in case I say something that might piss them off. Yeah. I don't need any more drama in Dallas.
I mean, because I know there's still people that are, like, in our area that just haven't really come out. Because I've talked to some people too. Yeah. But it's just one of those, like, Tuesday night is just not a good night for them.
Oh yeah.
And so.
And that's what he said.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm saying, what's weird is, like, and like I said, this could be an ego thing. It could just be like if you lived in a place where this was not taking place, especially you being a brand there, and you are part of bike nights, you're part of the community in a big way of this style of bike. When you pull into a gas station, and especially if you have a very noticeable bike like your Dyna was, and they don't know who the fuck you are or your brand, right? Not you, but your brand. It's like weird. Yeah, no, because this isn't. It's never been this big before. Now it's getting so much bigger that people don't even. They get involved in this and go down to this rabbit hole of all these different brands, whether it's HPI and all these parts they get. But and they're right in your backyard, and like no idea that you're there, or you exist, or whatever. Yeah, that's part of the deal. It's growing fast. It's weird. I can't hate it. I mean, it is what it is. But it's just like that band, that band you found before everybody else did. Yeah. And now it's on a fucking Walmart commercial.
I don't even like them because everybody knows them now.
Yeah, it's like, this shit's gay now. They sold out.
They sold out every time. Yep.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's a good one. They sold out. So how long have you been like pushing some of these products and stuff like that, with the lights and things like that?
So the lights have been going on, I don't know, a little more than 6 months maybe. Mm-hmm. So pretty short.
Yeah.
And then like that's been going on its own. Trevor whips up all the brackets. I do all the harnesses in-house. So that's been very consuming for me. And I was working on that black and gold road glide that I spoke about earlier. Mm-hmm. And I did a inverted front end on it from Krause in a Hoffman fender. And there did not exist a fender spacer. Like something so stupid, like a fucking fender spacer for 19-inch wheel. So you got a single spacer for the inverted front end. You got a single front spacer for the carbon fender because they're skinnier. Mm-hmm. And like, I looked and looked and looked, and I'm like, how does this not fucking exist? Yeah. So I called a close buddy of mine who's a machinist and said, can you make me this? Like, I need it for a project. And he made it. Mm-hmm. And he's like, how many do you want? I'm like, just make me 3 sets. I'll throw them on the shelf. Didn't figure they'd go anywhere. And he ended up bringing me 5 or 6 sets. He's like, I was already making them. It just fucking made more sense to make them all. And I had thrown them on the website, and they were gone in 72 hours. And I'm like, hold on a minute. Like, this, like, okay. Yeah, I mean, there's a million inverted front ends, and most of them have carbon, so it makes sense. And then I started paying attention to shit. When I'd go to shows or whatever, it's like, get a bunch of washers or, like, guys that make their own spacers out of single bar stock with a hole in it or whatever. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, this is a thing. And then everything that him and I have been doing is kind of out of necessity. Like, like the radial brake mounts we make. We added the spacing in to accommodate a 13-inch rotor or a 12.6, 320 mil. Like, instead of fucking with all these stack washers, which was getting out of hand.
Yeah, I never understood why they had so much adjustment on that if everything is pretty engineered to be the same.
Yeah, that's what started my brain. Like, the rear mount was what really like killed it for me. It's like every one of these baggers uses an 11.8 rotor on the back. Why do I have to fucking space the rear rotor? Yeah. Like, at least that one where it's a static size.
I wonder if they're only doing that because they want to make something that would work for instead of making 2 different brackets, one would work for an 11.5 and then 11.8.
But the swing arm's different.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
How long have they been running 11.8 rear rotors on baggers? The whole time?
No, probably 09.
09?
Since the new frame. So
yeah, so it's the same swing arm from 09 to now.
Yeah, so like it just threw me off. So it was like, well, why is this a thing? And that's again out of necessity. Like, I don't like, I've got $300 in fucking washers, that are black anodized and da 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 da. I'm like, so I called my buddy and I said, look, I want to do something with this. What you and I are doing, I can't do it without you. But wanted to know, you got a family, you got a full-time job, what are your thoughts? He's like, fucking, I'm in. Yeah. So we formed our sister company, if you want to call it that, OPE Concepts. And that dude just works his dick to the bone. Like, I'll give him, put him on something. He's like, got him a 3D printer, and does his magic, and he, we'll meet for lunch, and he throws me a box of parts, all in 3D print. Go test them. And I think we're 17 part numbers in right now.
I feel like, especially with the current performance bagger stuff or whatever you want to call it, performance touring, there are so many places, in my opinion, there's so many places that can use parts, even if they're just more visual accessories, to just kind of jazz something up. I know that like that defeats the purpose for all the diehard Facebook performance bagger guys out there. But when people understand that like performance is what's giving people fun while they ride it, but you still need things to look cool.
Yeah, there's an aesthetic portion.
The aesthetics,
otherwise nobody would paint their bike.
Exactly. The aesthetics is what makes people proud to own it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I just feel like there's so many parts that are just small and minute that get overlooked, and then you see someone else make a part and like, that probably would have never made the list on me as someone that stares at these bikes a lot. But yeah, there's still so much room to grow. I think what Justin just did on his bike is going to, I'm not trying to toot his horn here, but I think that what he kind of did is going to open the eyes of some other people, and I think we're going to see more of that style of shit start popping up. Yeah. More people that do billet are going to look in that world. I mean, he obviously got some of those things from MJK and like alloy art with the subframe and shit like that. But it, you know, you had said something earlier about like, you know, filling a void that's not there or making something better. But, you know, you don't have to say this. I'll say it for a lot of people, but I feel like a lot of brands carry the same products, but it's the options of different things that make us as assemblers have different bikes. Because if everybody made one perfect thing and everybody had that one perfect thing, then it wouldn't be cool.
Yeah, everybody would have.
You know, we'd all be going to uniform school.
Yep.
You know,
but that's what we chose to focus on was, you know, out of the gate, like, this doesn't exist. I don't understand why. Let's make it. See how it does. Like, I think the smaller companies can afford to take that chance. These big companies are scared to do that shit.
Well,
it's simple as I made a phone call to Alloy Art. I said, you guys going to make a twin cam motor mount for mid controls? Because I have a twin cam with mid controls. It was like a pet project for me. Nope.
Yeah.
Well, now we have one. So, like, for me, it was like, I need one for myself. So a lot of this starts out as like a onesie for me.
Yeah.
And like,
I mean, it's the way it needs to happen.
And then you post about it and you get 10 DMs like, hey, I'll take one if you produce that. And I was like, okay, well, fuck it, let's make it. So
it makes sense, man. So what's been the main focus with the shop? I mean, are you taking like jobs in as far as oil changes, those kind of things up there? Or do you focus more on product development? Or
so I have scaled back in what we taken in the shop.
Yeah.
In the last month, obviously, it's still been winter for most of that time, but I've been looking to hire another body in there to keep, because I don't want to stop having this shop.
Yeah.
Like I want to do oil changes and I want to do tires, and I don't, you know, we do really well with that stuff as far as like keeping people on the go. Like it's not, oh man, 2 weeks we'll do your tire. Nobody wants to wait 2 weeks to get a tire changed.
That's been a problem for a lot of brands. I mean, Justin Kelly, you're at his shop, and that's one of the things he's been trying to figure out. And Mark at Texas Performance, same thing. It's like, you know, you have these smaller businesses, these smaller operations where you want to kind of do these more elaborate builds or whatever, but then we all know those tires and those oil changes pay good money.
Yep, and they keep the lights on.
And so it's like you're always getting pulled left and right, and it's like it's a complicated like threshold that I think every young shop has to figure out.
Yeah.
And I think that there's no like set way to do it. I think that it's just all circumstantial on the type of bikes they work on. But once they do figure that out, they kind of get past the first real challenge as a shop that wants to also build.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And then in a perfect world, you just build the jobs you want to build, but that ain't always going to keep your lights on and pay your bills and make sure your kids are fed. And so you walk a fine line. And I've been, you know, just building harnesses and filling orders is its own. I do that at night, and like we try to maintain as little a lead time as possible, because that's been another big problem. Is like, you know, you can't get the lights, you can't get this. It's taken 2 months to get something. It's like we're trying to maintain a really quick turnaround.
Yeah.
And doing a decent job so far. So I just like, now that it's warm out and like I'm starting to get the shops kicking up, I'm like trying to find another body to like help out. So
that's good. I mean, it's a good position to be in. My brand's so fucking unique and different. Like, it's hard to find, you know, everybody, you know, when I talk about my, I guess, obstacles, everybody and their mom has opinions, but they don't understand that I can't hire somebody to do artwork for me.
Yeah, like, are you creative? Can you do this?
And if you do, you know, if you are like somewhat creative and have your own art, then you have your own style.
Yeah.
It's not mine. And then people, you know, then that's how you get a Troy Lee Designs kind of thing, where Troy Lee was a designer, and then now it's like he hires guys like me to come in and make stuff that fits his style, as opposed to me having my own.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, it's one of those weird kind of places where, you know, like there is no cut and dry, like just hire more people. Like,
how?
Yeah. So I'm the bottleneck, not them.
Yeah.
I'm the one that's
I could hire 1 million people, but can they are they me? Like,
I mean, even if they do like things that, like we talked about, things that I need help with, like it's still gonna all bottleneck with me.
Yep. Yeah. You can there's only 24 hours a day for Jace. Like that's what it is. You can only pump out so much. And that's kind of the bottleneck where I'm at, like trying to run a shop, ship orders, take orders, create new products, like, and it's like,
I think the create new products part is a very mind consuming situation where when you're going to create a product out of your shop, I assume 100% that you want that to be a well thought out, planned out, designed part. And that requires a lot of bandwidth of attention.
And that's I got lucky with that. The gentleman that does that with me, he's a skilled machinist, and he's a biker. He rides, so like I kind of just paint him the picture, and he brings me what he brings, and it's not always exactly like, oh, it's exactly what I was thinking, man. Like, but he'll bring me something, and I'm like, okay, let's do this, let's do that, and it's not always that, because sometimes he'll come back and he'll say, well, we can't do that because the way the tooling, shit that's like 10 feet above my head. Yeah. And it is what it is. But we'll make, we kind of land in the middle on what can happen. Yeah. So
I've always noticed that. I've noticed that a lot of the really, really talented fabricators that I've known over time and machinists, and this isn't talking shit, sometimes they have all of the aesthetics or the ability to create things, but they spend so much time learning to create those things that they don't necessarily develop a style of that. You know what I mean? So every once in a while, like a really badass fabricator will come out with something that's like, fuck, that's actually badass. Sometimes it would be like, well, that thing you did was badass, but the whole picture is not. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yep. No, I'm with
that. Happens with paint a lot. Like if you're a really, really badass airbrush artist and you can paint someone's face on a gas tank, when you look at that, you're like, wow, that's amazing. But when you step back and look at the whole paint job, you're like, none of this works together.
Yep.
So there's two levels to that expertise. It's like the actual talent and skill it takes to do it, and then the talent and skill to make it something that's palatable on a lot, like with everything else.
Yeah. You know it all has to work together. Yeah. Like your focal point isn't this one teeny area on the bike. It's the whole. I mean, you want it to be anyways, I'd imagine. Yeah. But. So he kind of keeps me in check. Like this shit can work, this can't, and here's your part. Yeah. Does it work? Perfect. Let's put it on a bike.
That's
and run
good.
It.
That's a good relationship to have, man.
Yeah, and we've been buddies since the 10th grade. Like I said, like
fuck.
He knows when to call me on my bullshit, or if I'm, calling him like, hey man, what's up with this part? Like, bro, it's my daughter's birthday. Like, get off my back. And okay, I'll let you be. So.
That's a good place to be, because I know that everybody, I don't know. There's so many fucking dynamics that come into this world and working with other people and creating things like that. And yeah, it's a tough one. I can't imagine. So, I mean, you're at a good point now. I mean, you're kind of coming into this new year. You said you kind of started pushing out these products like 6 months ago with the lights,
with
at least,
the lights, and
the wire harnesses and things like that. Which that's also like you sell a whole kit.
Yep.
That essentially makes going Baja.
Is that a term now?
Going Baja.
We're going Baja.
We're going Baja. I can say that now because I'm not obligated.
Yeah, I've got no contractual obligation.
So you're going Baja on all these things, and you basically provide a kit, also using parts that are already available, like Lucky Strikes filler panels, so they can get the whole package through you guys.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the things that most people didn't really understand about going Baja. We're gonna coin that so everybody knows.
So today's the day. I'm going Baja.
So, a lot of people, I think, originally, and I did as well, thought like, oh, you just buy it and put it on your bike.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I got the lights, and then you're like, oh shit, how do you put them on the bike?
Yeah, because they come with that bracket. I've had guys ask me that, like, well, how do you mount this bracket? Well, that's meant to mount on a pickup truck, like on a bumper. Yeah. So, not exactly how it works. So yeah, we got with Trevor. He makes the brackets. I think we're on like the 4th or 5th variant of. We've made updates. Made it better, made it stronger, made it faster. The wiring, same way. Like it's evolved. The lights, we've not had any issue getting, except for a short stint. They've always been in stock. I got probably 48 units at the shop right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then just keeping in touch with Jeremy, and he keeps that flowing.
Yeah.
So it's the whole thing. And then we've got the Road King and a Street Glide variant.
So I wanted to talk about that, the deal you did with Instab and Kyle, where the kit Kyle has is something through prior performance. Yep. So if you want to do the Road King setup,
yep,
how does that work there?
Kyle and I have had a pretty open line of communication for some months now.
Yeah.
And basically, when he posted that was a thing he did, I reached out to him. I said, "Are you looking to do this from a production level? And if not, I'd like to talk to you about it."
Mm-hmm.
So, a couple weeks goes by, and he's like, "I'm gonna do this."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Okay, cool. No sweat off of me." He's like, "But I want you to wire them." I'm like, "Okay, well, we'll talk about it. When you get there." And I had been selling like a Road King harness on the site, and so him and I kind of made some phone calls back and forth, and came to the agreement that if I sold his stuff, I would only provide harnesses for his product, for that, for the Road King specifically.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I got the exclusivity of his product.
Yeah.
He's got the exclusivity of my harness, and it works for
marriage,
both of us.
yeah.
Yep. So it's been a good trip. Like, Kyle's an awesome dude, and
so how is the Indian one working out?
Well, that kind of is falling on me at this point. Mm-hmm. So trying to find a local challenger to work on and beyond.
Yeah.
But I wanted to start with Challenger because it's already something that exists in Forever Rat's world.
Yeah.
So now that we have one, and the campout's over, and I should have a couple minutes to breathe, I'm going to tear her down.
You just picked up that Challenger like what?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Like, I didn't even ride it.
Yeah.
Before the campout, I left the driveway with 7 miles.
Damn.
Like, hadn't ridden it any farther from the shop to my house.
Damn.
Okay, here we go. So, it's been great. It's got the moves, and it's got some
people still thumb you up, or they wave back?
No, they kind of do a little flicky off, and you fucking Indian.
They're like jerk off motion and shit.
So, but yeah, that's in the near future. I gotta obviously talk to Kyle about it, but sounds like he's got everything nailed down on the mounting it. Now I just got to figure out the wiring, which isn't a problem, but it's like anything.
How complicated is the whole wiring situation? Like, is it just like connectors, or is it like also like, what do they call them, load equalizers or
some relays and
relays? Okay.
Yeah. Obviously the factory connectors, so it plugs into everything like your normal light would.
Mm-hmm.
But the Baja draws so much more power than your standard light that there's a pigtail that goes back to the battery independently, and it kind of just flows through there. So should be pretty similar to the Indian. They have a little bit different wiring system, but something we can get buttoned up pretty quick.
That's cool. Yeah, I didn't know. I like I said, I haven't really paid attention. I'll be honest with you. I've been the biggest hater of all those lights.
Yeah.
And
like you said,
I still have my quarrels with a lot of issues with it, but I don't know. I mean, it's all the gaps and holes, right?
Yeah.
It's that's what kills me, because I know what my bike. You can't see it in the picture, but right when we got there, our bikes were so covered in fucking gnats and bugs that there's no way in fucking hell I would ever want to stick Q-tips in those little vents that kind of cool those lights.
Yeah.
To try to get all the bugs in there, because they would have been so caked up, it would have been solid.
Yeah.
That's how so when I think about a headlight that has gaps, that's what I think about. But I saw so many at the campout, for instance, this last weekend, where I was like, y'all went through the same shit we did. My bike's covered in bugs, your bike's covered in bugs, but I'm not seeing. Occasionally, you get that good grasshopper that just fucking loses his life, right?
Explodes.
Yeah, but it hasn't seemed to be as big of a problem as I made it up in my head.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I
mean, it's a thing, definitely, but and I'm not Mr. Clean. Believe me, I'm not like, all right, we're coming home from bike night and we're gonna spend 3 hours scrubbing the bike. Like, I'm not that guy. It is what it is.
I'm not really that guy either, but when you start working with a lot of brands, like, you have to be able to present the products they have in the best light possible.
Yeah,
with the understanding, like, hey,
show off your parts here with my bike looks like dog shit, but close enough.
So I don't know. There's that aspect, but I feel like I don't know. And even like the spin-off lights that's been coming out based on it. I've always been a name brand guy. Yep. You know what I mean? Like I don't want the other version of something that came out to look like that or whatever.
Yeah,
but there's a couple of them. I guess there's another brand that looks exactly like Baja's.
Yeah, they call it the Baja style.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're it's a different thing. Like they're not, the beams aren't focused right. There's no high beam. They're like, there's a lot of, they look like them.
Yeah.
That's about all they do though.
So where's Baja based out of? There?
California.
The California? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because the other company I think is out of Japan or some shit like that.
Yeah, close to there.
Close to there. Yeah. The other big land behind
the other
it?
big land, yep. And, you know, we've done side-by-sides. Like, you fire at the same distance, the same light, effectively, and the beam's all scattered and broken, or the other one is, the beam works and it's true, and like an automotive beam's flat. It's not just a round,
just a light going everywhere because of high and low beams.
Yeah. So there's an absolute.
So the Baja is actually set up like that to have a high and low beam with that.
Yep.
That's
and
pretty.
It's part of the factory controls. You flick you turn your bike on, the low beams come on. You turn your high beam on, it trips the upward sections. So
that's dope.
Yep. And
I didn't think about that because having those LEDs in there and like you don't, when you look at a normal headlight, you see or a normal LED with like a lens or whatever to kind of magnify a reflector. You can kind of see how they kind of do it to keep the light level.
Yep.
So it's not just like going in the sky.
Refractive bar inside of it, and that kicks back against the reflector and then back out. But yeah, they do a good job at that. Obviously, they cast a ton of light. The field of light's
stupid
large.
Yeah.
So
why?
because they went Baja.
They went Baja. We're going Baja.
Hey, can I step out for a moment?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna pee after you. Oh man. Want to fill in for a minute while he's gone?
Me?
Come on.
Not much to talk about.
Let's talk about the stupid shit you did this weekend.
I did plenty of that.
So I was
on stage naked.
You weren't on stage naked, were you?
No, I did see balls though.
Those were nice.
Yeah, they hung low.
One set did, the other set did not.
Yeah.
No, but you did the 14 second.
Yeah.
What was it? Tequila infused with jalapenos.
Yeah.
You said it wasn't shit.
No, it would have been good in like a what is it called, a Bloody Maria? Like
Bloody Maria.
Yeah, it would have been great in one of them the next morning. It definitely all hit me though.
So you from Minnesota as well?
Yeah, I live about an hour away from Brandon, right up by Hoffman's, about 5
Nice.
minutes from Curtis and the boys. So I like to bother them a lot.
That's dope, man. I'm
Yeah.
glad you came down, man. It was awesome. Like you getting up on stage and leaning into all this shit.
Yeah, for sure, man.
I don't know if anybody's posted. Have you posted anything about what you did?
No, I told you earlier. I got no pictures or videos from this weekend, so probably a good thing. My fiance doesn't see any stupid shit we did, right?
Is she watching you?
Yeah, no, I think we're good. She'll get tagged later.
No, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I had a great time, man. It's like, we started doing these podcasts right after the camp out. It's like we don't want to go too quickly into getting to all the details of the camp out until we do an actual podcast about it. Right. But, it's always one of those things. It gets hard not to talk about it here or there.
Yeah, this is my first year too. And anyone that's up in the air about it and question it and think about going, well worth it. The ride down there with the right people too is just a blast.
I appreciate that. I'm going to go pee.
Yeah, I was actually pretty surprised when they started doing the Baja Designs. I grew up in automotive and everything similar, so trophy trucks and all that. I was really excited, and then when they started doing that, I was like, okay, I can see maybe like a tracker or something. The enduro bikes having this stuff, but then they're putting on full blown baggers and everything.
Yeah,
I was pretty
out
surprised.
There. Like I said, when we started doing this, I didn't think it was going to be this immense thing that it's become, and it's really kind of blown my hair back. We're in a just shy of 1,000 square foot shop with some outbuildings that keep bikes in storage and stuff, but like for just being the little guy on the block, like we're putting out huge quantity of this stuff, and I don't see the end. Like it's not falling off. It's just steady.
Yeah, like Jace was saying, just seeing all these people that are starting to do all the performance stuff, but they don't know anyone that, just some random person. They just thought it was cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just spreading.
Yeah, it's wild, like just the growth of this whole scene.
Yeah, yeah.
And obviously it's been going on for some years, but like the last couple, it's been wildfire.
Yeah, I keep talking. I gotta catch my breath. Those stairs kick my ass every time.
Yeah, you should get one of them like the old man things.
You just the little chair.
Yeah.
The next place we have a shop studio at will not be
main
upstairs.
level. Well, or we could just be a little less chubby, but whatever.
I told you should have put that little urinal over there in the corner.
It's like, just have a hole in the wall you just stick your dick in and piss.
Yep, that would make it a lot
And
easier.
we just have like a shiwi for the ladies if they come in.
The old shiwi.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Well, that's cool. Yeah, the Baja stuff, it just kind of, because I talked to Suicide Machine Co. They were the first ones I noticed that ever did the Baja lights, and seeing his bikes in person, like, I don't know if you've ever really like got the chance to look at their bikes, but
not face to face, but
it's they do paint in a way that I wouldn't say that. Like my paint's a lot more wilder because that's what I do, right?
Yep.
Their paint really accentuate the cleanliness and the grittiness of the bikes that they build.
Yep.
And dude, when I was at his shop, just the spectrum of how many different types of bikes this guy's built, and they all still have his flavor.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Do that on so many different.
And so when they did that bike, this was I think 2019, because I saw it at Born Free in 19 when we all went. Mm-hmm. They used the Baja lights, but they built like this external like railing crash bar, almost like it was a fucking like an off-road vehicle.
Yeah.
But it still had all the performance bagger vibes. It was unique and different. And I, looking at it personally, like that's not easy to do. You know what I mean? All the rails that go into the fairings but still mount somewhere on the bike.
Yeah. Yeah. I have not seen something out of there that wasn't just kind of like you look back at it and like, holy shit. Like all the details and but again, like you said, it has that more gritty vibe to it. Yeah.
Like, he's always had an industrial vibe to his stuff, but with like, they use a lot of red and white in their stuff with flat blacks and stuff. I love it. When you build a brand and a style, it's almost, if you can do that, like there's that path, right, where every bike you build has like, it's just the same color scheme.
Yep.
But it's a different build.
Yeah, and it's a completely different bike, but somebody outside's like, oh, that's
it's almost like when like, I think it's an ultimate flex because that shit is not easy to do.
Oh yeah, you want to talk about building a brand?
Yeah.
A brand that you don't have to put your brand, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to say your name on the side of it in huge letters for people to recognize it. You might not realize it that day, but you're going to look at it and go, oh, yep, that's one of theirs.
Mm-hmm. No, that shit's rad. So how do you have like ultimate goals for like the brand? I mean, is it to continue to build like SKUs, like product line and things like that?
That's the goal. I mean, real long game is I would like to have a line of products. I'd like to still maintain the shop and the normal stuff, but obviously have a couple of folks doing that. Mm-hmm. And then kind of just do some builds for, when we go to Daytona and we go to, that's all stuff that's been out of my grasp. This all happened super fast for me. Yeah. So it's not like I don't have a booth at Sturgis.
Yeah, well, you don't need to do that.
But stuff like that, like I'm there. We go to as much shit as we can for as small company as we are. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know if I'm going to make it to Lacona. I'm going to try like hell.
Man, not to bring his fucking ass up again, but the way Justin went about growing his brand is simply by just showing up and being there and being present, being a personality as well there. Yep. And I mean, he does have, I guess he has a catchy ass little fucking logo. I'm so sick of seeing his hats everywhere. It's fucking annoying. But, the most important thing is to be at Daytona, is to be at Sturgis, to be at smaller events as well. It's not so much that you need a booth there. Yeah. Right? Because those booths they're for the big companies, right? you want to be at Rossmeyer's paying, for a 10 by 10 for $5,000 for a week. Like, you'll get a lot of eyes on you over the time.
Yep,
but that same $5,000, you can put that in like just Instagram and Facebook marketing and sell more of your products that way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's, I mean, for me, the organicness of this community, like specifically, like has been,
it's tribal.
No, and it's been how big it is, but it's tiny. Mm-hmm. Like, when we linked up with Forever Rat and Steph and Kyle, like we put that first post about the Road King mounts up, 200 followers in that 8-hour block, and it's like, it feels to me like everybody's very willing to put on somebody else. Like if you're doing something and you're doing something right, like we're gonna lift you up out of the dirt.
100%.
And that's so awesome to me.
I'm glad you brought that up because this is something I've been talking about a lot with my friends lately. And I've said it, and I'm going to try to articulate this the best I could, so follow along with me.
Okay.
Our whole thing, what we have, this is a big-ass table that we all put food on for us all to share.
Yep.
But when you stop putting food on the table, when you stop showing up to things, supporting things, right?
Yep.
You start doing your own thing. You don't keep giving back to the table. That's when shit gets weird, right?
Absolutely.
So, we've proven, by meaning all the people that sit at this table, this hypothetical one, is that if you just support the small things and go out and show out and be helpful when you need to be helpful, and not take advantage, but like be a salesman when you need to be a salesman, and just be someone that's helping when you got to know to do that. But you also got to be a part of the scene.
Yep.
You got to show up to the bike nights, to the campouts, to the industry party at House of Harley. These type of things that are all designed for us smaller people, right?
Yeah, and that's been obviously, like I said earlier, and maybe it wasn't even on the podcast, maybe it was just you directly. I got the 5 children and now the 2 businesses, and historically, working for the dealerships, you don't get to go to Sturgis and you don't get to do this. So when this all came about, I was like, that was the first time I went to Sturgis, was the first year we were in business. So I've been to Sturgis twice.
Yeah.
So that I told myself this year, I don't give a fuck what's going on. Like, we're not going to kill ourselves when we're going to go everywhere we can go.
Yeah.
Like, obviously I'm not going to make go broke doing it, but we're going to on a bike especially get everywhere we can get. Like the camp out, we're going to Sturgis. We were in Daytona. We were, the next industry party that whole week in
Milwaukee.
Yeah, Milwaukee's going to be amazing. So that's where I'm at this year. Like all the riding I've missed in the last years, not this year. So we're going to rack up some miles.
Well, I think the riding aspect shows people that you're also a brand that's into riding, and that's one thing that I feel like when you get too big, it gets harder. And I don't even want to say it's like you get so big that you're not a biker anymore. Yeah. I understand that the woes of business become so complicated that it gets hard to be like, I want to go ride my bike across country to a camp out. I get that.
Yep.
But one thing I would say about this last weekend is I'm thank you for coming as your brand. I've tried to articulate so much to all these other brands. Like, look, where else, like and this isn't talking shit, you'll drive all the way across country to go set up at a hardcore cycle show for 3 hours or 4 hours.
Yeah.
Which you have to pay a vendor space for. And like I said, I'm not talking shit. One of the best shows out there. This camp out is free for a brand to come be there.
Yep.
So, I don't want you setting up a tent and selling fucking shit because I don't want it to be a vendor space, but you can go connect with people.
Yep.
And those conversations, when you go on a ride and those 20 people or 30 people that go on that ride with you, they're like, man, your bike's sick, dude. You're cool as shit. I'll fuck with you. Yep. People buy out of passion nowadays more, a lot more. I wouldn't say more, but equally as they buy out of necessity or whatever the fuck you want to say. So I'm like, I guess this is me kind of bitching at all the bigger brands I fuck with. I'm like, you should have been there.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. And I just talked about
you see what we did on stage? We try to bring all the brands that are part of it that I knew of. I didn't, me and you just connected over the last couple of weeks. I tried to bring every brand that was coming out there to do something, to go out there and be seen on that stage, and then on all the reels and all the fucking media that happens. Like I said, a lot of people do not understand how this new world works. and it works so simple and it's so cheap.
Yeah.
You just got to go.
Yeah, free. Cost of gas
Yeah.
at this point. But yeah, I was just talking to Justin Kelly about that today. I'm like, what a fucking novel concept. Like, for a vendor to be put in the same space as a consumer with no bullshit, just, you know, I'm not selling you anything. We're hanging out, partying, and like to build a relationship with somebody without an exchange.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not transactional. Like,
I mean, I get it. It's tough for a lot of people. I mean, if someone's super known, you know, a big name is out there, I imagine it would get overwhelming with the dumbass questions that get asked.
yeah, but you hope that on the consumer end, they realize you're there enjoying your time too. You know, obviously there's going to be some.
That's one great thing about Justin Kelly is that he has no problem going, you know what? Hey, man, I really appreciate you coming over here, but we're in a conversation, man. You're going to have to calm down for a minute.
Yep.
All this stroking and shit like that.
And like,
And he'll kick your ass, too.
it's
In his short shorts.
oh, in the shorty shorts, yeah.
He's out there all trying to show them thighs off and shit.
Well, he works for it. Let him have it. What the fuck? But yeah, I mean, it's a cool concept. Like I said, obviously there's some pros and cons to that whole level too. If you're, you know, I would imagine.
Yeah, you got to be a personable dude. I'm not. That's why I lean on all my friends to be a little bit more the
but
buffer.
you got all those characters too in that. You know, you got your dragon and you got, you know,
Friends out there on the stage calling every chick a bitch. I'd have to talk with him about that. Say, hey, dude, I know that's how you talk, but in the videos when you're, hey, bitch, what you doing? Like, you can't do that shit.
Yeah,
So-
let's just tone it down just a skosh.
But,
yeah, I mean, it's a cool concept. I'm glad that it exists. Like,
the show aspect, that was a new thing we did this year, and I felt like that was a huge success.
Yeah.
Like Matt made a trophy for that. He built that little bead roll thing for me when we built the studio.
Yep.
But he made one from his brand to give away, and we tried to.
Oh yeah.
We just wanted to say like to everybody, hey, we're doing a show. So we wanted all the nice bikes to come in, but realistically, we wanted to still pick. We used like the social media, like all the dudes that were like customizing their bikes over the last couple of months and FLC bound, you know, this kind of saying, you know what I mean? And so a lot of us picked guys that, you know, we don't like, I would love to pick Justin's bike for my pick, but that's kind of like, I'd rather pick the dude that's never ridden that far, built his own bike. It might not be a show bike like to the level of Justin's, but that's rad with that dude. And if I can kind of like pour a little gasoline on his fire, I'm fucking all in for that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what I was telling you. The guy that I picked, I liked his bike for one, but then he was some of the stories that were coming out, like he rode down here and he's ripping out wheeling in, not caring about it. He's just enjoying the time.
Yeah.
And it's like that. And he's riding. It's not like he's trailering or anything.
Yeah.
And so that was like a lot of respect for me. Like I wanted to make sure he got noticed for that. But then at the same time, pretty much all the bikes that were picked were ones I wanted to pick.
Yeah.
So I'm actually glad that we all got those picked out because of their stories and everything like that.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, like after I was done, he actually came up to me later on and was like, I didn't realize you were the one that had that purple bike last year when I was staring at it and loving it and everything. But then this year you give me that trophy after I already liked your bike and now I get to meet you and talk to you.
Yeah.
And like that's a big thing about being present about that.
Yeah.
You can make those connections on a personal level, but also like with products and stuff or even like just paint, that's people's hard-earned money that they're wanting to give, you know, and get something in return. But if they don't know this person, it's harder for them. But once you get on that personal level with them,
absolutely,
it's a bigger difference.
Yeah, like, you know, I say this all the time. It's like, yeah, I fuck with this company because me and that dude did drugs together.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, that's not a good review. I'm like,
I'm on
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
like,
but it's not
most people's products work.
One.
Most people's products work.
Yeah, if it was a piece of shit,
Yeah.
it wouldn't exist by
But
now.
if I could do some, you know, drink some whiskey with a tire manufacturer,
Yeah.
as long as, you know,
think Dunlop's going to come out and
maybe I want to see if I can get them fucked up on the podcast. Maybe
there you go.
Get cheap
I would rather have
on that.
Metzler. If I could have any tire manufacturer, I'd probably be Metzler.
Yeah.
Or Shinko, because I fucking had some great times on Shinkos.
Yeah.
Everybody talks shit, but they work great for me.
Yeah, I mean, for real short amount of time, but they stick when they stick.
I used to be a Commander 2 guy, and then they changed the 3s, and
I realized I didn't like mine on there. Like
they went down the drain quick with those Commander 3s.
That Indian came with Metzler's right out of the box, and
for real,
they're quite the nice tire. That's actually probably the first Metzler I've put any miles on. Mm-hmm. So I've been impressed. She sticks. So
I've had issues back in the day with Metzler's, but not bad ones. It was more of just really quick wear.
Yeah,
you know what
I
mean?
feel like that's all cyclical though. Like every couple years, there's a new tire in the spotlight, and it's been Metzler here now. Where before it was Commander 2.
So it's like you said, you got the Shinko, where the Shinkos have the best grip, but they're also like you're not going to get.
Oh yeah, good cheap
5,000 miles out of the tire, maybe 10 if you're like me. They don't do anything stupid on the road.
You're not doing just.
I'm not a burnout dude, and I don't do any of that shit. I don't like cleaning it.
Well, so also the good thing is each manufacturer has different models of tires that you can pick.
But a lot of us are picking tread patterns too sometimes.
Oh, that one looks cool. All right.
Oh, I like that one. Looks fucking mean, dude.
Well, everyone wants like the 777s because they know they grip. Mm-hmm. You know, they have other versions, but that's the one that they recommend because everyone says it.
Well, I mean, also at the same time, they can't make a tire that lasts 20,000 miles.
Oh yeah. Well, it's just like buying a car. The first set of tires on your car lasts for fucking ever, and then every set thereafter, it's like, how come I only got 20,000, and I got 60 out of the first one? What the fuck's going on here?
That's a good point.
So,
I've always, so when I got the 131 in the last bagger, I had a Shinko on it, right? And so as soon as I left the dealership, I mean, not as soon, like broke it in.
Yeah, I mean, went through all the braking.
Oh yeah, perfectly.
Had a maintenance done.
Yeah, and then when I decided to like let it rip, dude, it would hook and wheelie like nothing.
Yeah, I mean that's what those tires are known for.
The factory Dunlop that comes on the bike was on the bike whenever I had the last 131 put in, and every time I would drop the clutch or try to like power it up, it would just spin the tire every time. It just would not get. No matter how long I've been riding, it would not catch.
Yeah, hot,
different
cold,
types of concrete didn't matter. It would just spin.
Yeah, I mean that's the draw, right? They stick and pick you up effectively.
A lot of people were talking about the sidewalls would give on them and you would have more of a wobble, but I never really experienced that. I did have, I think I hate saying this, but I think that I did my last bagger, the one that's on the wall downstairs.
Yeah.
That one, right before we did our trip to Maine last year, I put Metzler's on the rear and front. I think I might have had a bad tire on that one because I had a lot of wobble issues with that one.
I think like a goofy tread or something.
Yeah, but I had those same tires on the new bagger, no issues at all. So I think I just had like a bad batch,
just
or
like
some
anything
shit.
else. Yeah. If everything to ever happen was perfect, like there's going to be a bad one every now and again.
So other than that, I mean, I feel like it's been pretty solid, but. Yeah. So did you enjoy the camp out? What's your thoughts, man?
So obviously wet all the way there, which was its own special. I mean,
thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for your sacrifice.
Yeah, and hey, I mean that's what rain gear's for. But yeah, we got down there, and just immediately the party started. Like people were coming up. Like,
what time did y'all show up on Thursday?
Well, what time did we get in there? It was
8 or 9.
Yeah, it was dark. So we picked a site. Set up tents in the dark. Like, we're going to do this now before we get into some other shit. And then, like, we're just sleeping on the dirt. And then ripped out to, like, the pavilion, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And, like, we're just greeted, like, it's, woo, party time. And the Barellas were there and, like, a whole bunch of people that I have never met.
Yeah.
Which was killer. Like, I talked to a ton of these guys and gals on Instagram. And, I'd walk right past them, like, on the street. And a couple folks walked up and said, "Hey, your prior performance, da-da-da," and like shake hands and do the hug and like, it was cool. Like the first night, I didn't get into too much trouble, but like, just like took it all in because I was fucking tired. Yeah, I was, riding in that rain take a little bit out of you, but sat by that fire and just enjoyed. The next day, we went and grabbed breakfast and put a couple miles on, came back and just.
Did y'all go rip the Talamina at all?
We did on the third day.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
On the third day, we woke up, got breakfast. Tony Love had a couple the night before, so we're trying to get him out of bed. And then finally, he just told us to shut the fuck up. We got out and went road, had a good time, man. Like, the weather was fucking amazing.
It was.
Once we got through that first night. Like,
Yeah.
I put all my boots out open and my rain gear all dried up the next morning quick. And, it had a blast.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it turned out to be a really good event. The rain was worrying me at first, just because I know how people get. Like, nobody minds riding home in the rain. Nobody wants to leave in the rain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the ride home is always harder than the ride out.
It's like you have to go home.
For.
Like, you don't have to come to the camp out. So
yeah, if it's pouring on the way out, well.
But I mean, so I guess I will say this: we did break our last year's record of people by like a lot.
Really?
So we had over 1,000 attendees this year.
Shut the 1,000.
And last year was just didn't quite hit 500 last year.
That's a fucking pile of people, man. Holy
and
shit.
So I think you might have noticed they were making people get the little
pink
flags.
Yep.
They've never done that before.
Okay.
So that was able to help them keep track of things.
Yeah, I suppose.
I guess. And so they didn't have 1,000 tents, but they had
people.
So something, I don't know how they counted it. And
we had like 3 or 4 people sleeping in my tent. So
no. But apparently they said there was over that much. Somehow they figured that out. I'm going to lean in it. Let's be fair. Maybe in their eyes it was. I know there was at least 800 people there.
Still,
a
ton of people.
But, because a lot of people did leave early because of Mother's Day.
Yep.
So I got to get back.
Off.
Yeah.
Oh,
but Saturday night was lit, dude.
Yep.
Saturday night was fun, dude. The bike show brought everybody to the fucking center, and then the awards. Like, the first night we did the awards on Friday, we had never done that before.
Yeah, that was all fresh.
Well, when we did it last year, Sit Down Steve kind of like handled it. We just kind of like
Sit Down Steve.
Right there.
Yeah, and then so when we did it on Friday, we were kind of also doing it for the first time as just us.
Yeah.
And so we had a little bit too many people on stage. It was really hard to figure out what was going on.
Felt like a Wu-Tang concert.
Yeah, exactly. It did feel like that. But then we kind of had it figured out. We were able to keep a lot of not that we didn't want those people on stage, just that for the organization of the actual awards and all the giveaways we had, we needed a space on stage to be able to do this and only have a set amount of people on there, and then we would bring people on, and then there was a chance to get them back off and on and off, right? So Saturday night we just had it kind of worked out better. You know what I mean?
Well, you've done it once too.
Yeah.
You got like, okay, we got a rhythm. Let's figure out how to keep people flowing. Because as people come on the stage, then they stay, and then all of a sudden you got 35 bodies up there, and you're like,
hey, get the fuck off stage, dude.
You won. Just go.
Yeah. Well, those chicks from Kansas City, man, they were fucking on the front of the stage the entire time. They were ready to do every challenge, no matter what.
Like, one of the chicks was literally like had her knee up already on the stage.
She's like,
crawl. Yeah.
You better not, you know what I mean? Like,
somebody better not tell me too.
Yeah, she even was screaming like, "Are we getting on stage? Just say what if we have to get on stage. I'm ready." And I'm just like, "Oh man."
Yeah, it was dude. This year's vibe and energy compared to last year's completely different. Completely different. Like, it felt like a completely different camp out than last year.
I talked to a lot of people, in general, but of the people I talked to, this is my first one. This is my first one. There's a lot of first timers there, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Which myself, same. And it just seemed like a bunch of people. Like, you can only hear about it so much. Like, fuck, I got to do this. I got to do this. And somebody DM'd me on the way. I don't know. We were either just got to Dallas, and they're like, "I'm gonna make it one of these years." Yeah. And I'm like, "You should probably fucking do it." Like, I've been hemming and hawing for the last couple of years about it, and it's fucking blast.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much different. It's such a different event than like a Daytona or Sturgis, though. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. I mean, it has been for years an easy event to get known and recognized at, but at the same time, I could see it being harder to get known and recognized now with how many people.
Yeah, that many bodies.
That's why one of the guys that came with the Borrelia dudes, He had the thong on, walking around. He wanted to make the T-shirt.
Oh my God. Yep, the red thong. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy up to?
He leaned into it, man.
Yep.
I love that shit.
Hey, you gotta.
But there's like Moss Guy coming out and bringing the fucking banners he made of the camp out, and then a picture with his wife he just married the day before and left, and they came to the camp out. Like,
had the cans on the back of his bike.
The cans on the back of his bike.
Yeah. It's a just
like,
married can.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the more that I look at all this shit, we are doing exactly what prior generations have done in our world of motorcycling. We're just, I guess, maybe like just leaning into it more because that gives me a little bit more connection to motorcycling and the people around me than being one of 1,000 or one of 100,000 at Sturgis or one of 50,000 at Daytona or something,
like, the online community obviously is huge, but like there's no fucking connection. You talk to the same people, but you don't have that until you have a beer, you shake their hand, give them a hug. Yeah, like had to pick up Justin the other night. He's like, "Give me a hug, both hands." I fucking just picked him up. He's like, "All right, Bubba." I'm like,
his country ass.
Just learning how everybody's and it's like all corners of the country.
A lot of different vibes.
Yep. And like I've been dealing with a couple guys from Arkansas, like just talking to them online, shooting the breeze, like, and for months, and then you finally meet them, and it's a cool deal, like.
Yeah, I mean, Arkansas has kind of become Texas in a sense where we do so much stuff with Arkansas now, and now with like having RPM and those guys up in Oklahoma City, our Oklahoma City is now, I mean, Texas. Like we've gotten so connected with all these guys, and I don't mean to call them Texas, nothing like that. It's just like they're connected to this little thing that we got going on to where,
and they're close.
Yeah, I mean, relatively. I mean, Arkansas is 350 miles, or Little Rock's 350 miles from here, and then Oklahoma City's 200 miles from here, I believe. Yeah. But Dallas is kind of like close to that, but then Houston's 200 miles away, San Antonio's 200 miles away, so we still got distance to go through. I know the East is not used to that kind of distance when it comes to different cities,
from city to city,
to city, but it's nothing like what it is to go like when you're out west. Phoenix to LA is 400, 500 miles or something like that,
No, it's just, I mean, it's cool that you guys down here, especially, like it didn't click in my head how far Florida is from the campout. Yeah. It's like you think you're almost at the bottom of the country. How fucking far could it be? And they're traveling as far as we are from the top row, like Minnesota down, like. And
it's weird how it works sometimes.
Okay, that makes sense. Like. Yeah. But because I was talking to Craig, and he's like, "Well, I didn't have to ride. Luckily, he drove a truck with a trailer." But yeah, he's somebody that I've been talking to online for months. Like I sold him.
He's a Facebook influencer now.
Yeah, big time. But hell of a dude. Like
start a performance group on Facebook. And,
is that the way to do it?
He's got 50,000 followers.
60. Get your shit
60,000 followers. Together. Or what? I wouldn't call them followers. I would call them attendees. Yeah.
Ooh,
right.
Not I suppose it's not him, right?
It's 60,000 shit talkers.
Oh, you go on there and talk shit?
Sometimes.
Yeah. When it's necessary.
Yeah. When I'm in the bathtub.
Just got my laptop. Yeah, it's just
every time I go on that fucking website or on Facebook and I see something I want to chime in on, then I see the 51 comments. I'm like, no. Everybody has an opinion about this somehow, so there's no way.
Most of them are, you're an idiot.
And even if I give my opinion about something, somebody's going to clap back, and then I'm going to spend 3 hours. I don't have that kind of time to invest.
Like him and Han, shut him down. Type of like, I don't deal with that.
The one thing I hate the most about like Facebook, and I say I hate this, but it's like I understand. I just hate it. Yeah. Is when people go on Facebook groups and they ask for recommendations to good painters. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Because then there's like this ranking system that gets thrown on us. Yeah. Right?
Where are you at out of 10? Like, what's your general consensus? You a 4, 10?
Apparently people have been calling me a 3.
Oh, damn.
But on Facebook, I'm probably a 12 or 15.
Okay.
So on Instagram, I'm a 3.
You're like a work 10 then.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny as fuck.
Because they don't do that with shops. They want to get a shop, or they do it with shops, but it's like
They do it with
the same
everything,
thing.
though.
It's like you're always going to feel like, man, like I don't want a customer that way. I think that
you want to earn a customer.
I want a customer that found me and wants my shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I guess those conversations can happen, but honestly, those conversations happen at bike night.
Yep.
In person.
Yeah. Have you seen that bike? Who fucking painted that?
Yeah. They don't happen on a forum where some dude that doesn't invest any of his time being a part of the bike scene that he's
or you
locally.
get like Uncle Larry, like, Billy Bob down the street paints my, like,
yeah.
Well, that's not what I'm looking for.
You know, to talk a little bit of shit right now, that's been the biggest lack in the performance bagger scene is the paint. A lot of paint has been very lackluster in my opinion.
Okay. What are you going to do to fix that?
I'm not doing shit. I quit.
Oh, yeah, you did quit.
Yeah. I feel like
Jeremy's on it.
Jeremy in Poland and Flying Iron out there in California, and there's a gang of badass painters across the country, but it blows my mind how a dude will spend $10,000 on carbon and then literally try to get a paint job for $3,000.
Yeah.
And then literally does get a paint job for $3,000. And I'm like, you devalued your bike. Your bike, you know, these to do a paint job on a performance style bagger, it's harder. Like a big wheel bagger, everything connects, right?
Yeah, it's all very
so
flowing.
if you just did a line from the front to the back and everything connected, you're like, fucking flows. On a performance bagger, it's a little harder.
Yeah, because
how do you pull all this shit together?
Yeah.
It's complicated to paint them and make them look good.
Well, that's just like I was looking downstairs. It's not a performance bagger for the conversation, but the Dyna. Mm-hmm. When the wheel was to the right, it was off to the right front of the bike. That swoop on that fairing carried through the tank, and carried all the way back. Like, and I don't know if it.
That was planned.
Yeah. No, and I knew that, but like my height was perfect, and I mean the motherfucker was in line.
So I get those questions a lot. I actually talk to painters, and no matter where I am on the spectrum, but I get a lot of people asking design questions, right? And one of the things I always tell them is like, for one, if you want to paint these bikes right, always have the bike here or a bike to put these parts on and do it, because your graphics need to flow at the levels that people are going to look at it.
Yeah, at a normal human's height.
Yeah. So if you want your like on my bagger, if the bike's on the kickstand, depending on where you're at, the lines aren't perfect on the tank to the fairing.
Yeah.
But I stood in the areas I feel like most people would view the bike, right? One of the most areas is going to be like if you pull into a parking lot and you're all in a line.
Yeah.
Someone's not going to be able to stand right next on the side.
Yeah.
So if they're looking at from like another bike's front fender down the side of my bike, I want to make sure those lines line up on the tank and go down.
Yeah.
If someone sees it from the back, I want the fairing to come in and look like it hits the top of the tank. So it's finding the angles that people look at bikes. You got to be a consumer to be the best painter of that
you
product.
Do that 360 degrees.
Yeah.
But you can hit the high points.
I've always said this. Anybody can paint a bike. Anybody can paint a lowrider, right? The best people are the people who are in that industry, who are consumers of the same things that they paint, right? Your best paint jobs on performance baggers are going to come from the people that ride fucking performance baggers.
Makes sense.
You go into lowrider scene, like I can do that shit. Am I going to compete with some of the lowrider painters out there? No, because that's not my canvas.
Yeah, you don't view it the way
I don't own one.
Consume it.
I don't know the angles of all these things and how to make them fucking just touch you and artistically, not creepy.
Not inappropriately?
Yeah, not inappropriately, artistically. And when you get to that point, like that's when I feel like you kind of achieve something in paint that has been forgotten. And that's where I think a lot of people don't see that. They don't look at that. They don't care about that. They don't understand that. Therefore, that's why when people put these weak-ass paint jobs on these baggers and they bring them out, they don't have any flow. They don't have any the colors don't work. It's just a dude that knows how to paint. They got paid X amount of dollars to throw paint on this bike and get it out the shop, right?
Yeah, and honestly, if that bike wasn't parked in that way, because I'm not Mr. Artistic by any means, but because it was set where it was, and I just happened to be standing at that angle because I had 360 access to that bike, and I just must have been in the right place, and I looked down it and I'm like, whew, like straight through.
Yeah,
and like that's something I probably had no idea that I was looking for, but it was there. Like,
I mean, I don't know. I pride myself in flow. That's one of the things that you know, I'm definitely not the best painter out there, like skill wise, like Jeremy. I can go off a gang of dudes that are just so much better in certain aspects of things. There are airbrush artists out there that blow me out of the water so much, and I don't even feel like a real airbrush artist anymore because I do it so rarely.
Yeah.
But one thing I take pride in, and I would probably put my name at the very top of the list, is creating flow and connectivity throughout a whole bike, to where everything looks like it works and comes together.
Yeah, it was
pleasing to the eye.
Purpose, like everything.
And most people, like, once again, fucking Justin. We rode on our Saturday ride. Like, he's after the deal, he's like, you know, riding next to me on my bike, and he's like, man, I didn't realize how much I like this paint job, and it's because
talking about the mint.
No,
or
mine.
Your paint job, okay.
Because like when, you know, I have a good imagination, so I can envision a skinnier version of me on the bike.
Well, yeah.
Just fucking
Big,
ripping it.
You fucking
Yeah,
skinnier,
just
huge.
Can't see my tank at all because of these nuts, right? But no, I can envision myself. And so when I think about it, it's like, all right, this is how it's going to look in the parking lot.
Yeah.
This is how it's going to look riding. I want the graphics to wrap around the parts of me that are going to cover the tanks, right? I don't want to put a lot of effort into the area on the bike that's going to be covered when I'm riding it. And so my graphics flow into me as a rider.
Okay.
So, like I said, there's another level to this shit that I guess the IQ of the bike industry right now just haven't quite got there. I'll be number 3. Fuck it. What am I saying?
Hey, 3 out of 10 ain't bad.
That helmet out there is fucking. What'd you say that guy's name was again?
Chad Harris, HCP.
Chad Harris, HCP, out of Michigan, right?
Correct.
Fucking.
Yeah. No, the thing's fucking.
I've seen, as a guy that does a lot of ghost bandits, I've seen a lot of shit jobs, and that thing has flow. It has style, and has a good. Honestly, it has a lot of shit on there that I'd never try because I know how paint like the fades on the leaf. I'm like, I'm not fucking taping over that shit. Yeah. It's a nightmare. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've been following him for a while, and he's done some good work.
For real.
Yeah.
Yeah, he painted all my helmets throughout my racing career, so
yeah,
it would have felt goofy to go anywhere else at that point.
That's dope, man.
Stick with what you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
hell yeah. Well, that's the thing about this too, is like when kind of like so in the industry around 13, 14, 15, painters were fucking assholes to each other. Like in the Big Wheel Bagger days, like we got pinned against each other.
I suppose though, well, Billy said he could do it for X.
It's not so much that. No. It was always like, because the whole industry was so show driven.
Oh.
That this guy was the guy to go to win the shows.
Yeah.
Right? And then if this guy that doesn't win the shows wins the show, then this guy's talking shit. It was like they would pin us against each other.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
You know what I mean? And then when the performance thing started kicking off, I guess back then, preface that a little bit. Back then, there was only like 4 or 5 pockets in America that were known for building big wheels. It was Phoenix, the Midwest up in like Ohio area, Chicago being a part of that, North Carolina, Texas, and that was really it.
Okay.
Phoenix area, a little bit in NorCal, not that big up there, but Chicago, Ohio, that whole little Great Lakes states, and then North Carolina was heavy as fuck. A little bit of Florida, and then Texas had a big one, right?
Okay.
And so it was like, if you lived in Phoenix, then you would get all this shit super cheap. But all the people that would send their bikes to get painted in Phoenix were paying like $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to get these bike paint jobs done.
Tax.
Yeah, out of state tax. And then the rest of us in the country were like, there used to be this hashtag we do early days on Instagram called Bottom of the Paint Game, because all the dudes in Phoenix hashtagged Top of the Paint Game.
Yeah. So
and they were the ones that would win all the fucking baddest bagger shows. But they were also getting $14,000 to paint these bikes.
Yeah.
And dudes would come to us like, hey, we want to beat that bike. We got $4,000. I'm like, you want me to paint a $4,000 paint job to match that dude's $15,000 paint job?
Okay. Yeah. You want to win the show, you got to come to the party.
Exactly. So they're like, oh, well, I don't want to give you, because you're not used to doing $14,000 paint jobs, so we don't want to give you 14 grand. We want to give this guy that does it all the time 14 grand.
Okay.
It's like, well, how did he get to 14 grand?
Yeah, he didn't do any $4,000 paint jobs.
So it's like stupid as shit, man.
Yeah, no, I get it. I understand what you're saying, and it makes sense. But like that, okay, now this guy wants to win, so in that guy's eyes, that whoever painted the winning bikes worth 15 grand. Well, you're probably, in his opinion, I'm not saying this is true or my opinion.
No, I wasn't at all.
You're a 10,000 guy. Let me see if I can get him to do it for 4.
Exactly.
We got to start.
I had a lot of that shit, man.
Yeah.
So when I get on these things and I start ranting on customers, they're not so much nowadays customers. They're like customers over the last 20 years of my life. That the wildest shit in my life. I got a bike for a dude that's dead right now. I have no idea what to do with it.
I heard you talking about that. That I was like.
And I said that very asshole. It's like, this was a friend of mine.
Yeah.
I don't know his family. He has no wife, no kids.
Yeah, like what?
I have no idea what to do with this bike. You know what I mean? So it's weird, but the thing so what I was saying about the painters and how we've been pitted against each other, that was still early days of social media where people were kind of coming off of message boards and getting into the Facebook and Instagram world, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't as social as social media is now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now it's so social that like it doesn't do you good to talk shit about any other shop publicly or at a bike night because that shit will come back so quick.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Oh yeah.
So
he was saying that bike night.
Almost every dude that rides one of our style bikes is in some group chat with another 40 dudes.
Oh, easy.
On Instagram or on Google Hangouts or some shit like that, where you say one thing wrong at bike night and next thing you know, you got 40 dudes that don't like you and never talk to you.
Yeah. Well, and I don't pay anybody to shit on anybody else. You know what I mean? Like that's not. So but it happens.
So in a sense, I feel like the current version of social media that we're a part of has kind of humbled us in a way that we're all working together and not being so cutthroat to each other. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and you just mentioned Jeremy from Lucky Strike. How many times?
Yeah.
Like it's not like fuck.
I gotta stop doing that.
Yeah.
I gotta bump him down at least 2.
Where's he at?
Where's
he at on this?
I don't.
Do you
so
know?
they ranked us in Daytona.
Oh, this is a real thing.
Yeah, they ranked us and they gave us categories.
Okay.
But all I kept hearing was number 3.
Yeah, that's all
for me.
Fucking whatever else you said don't matter. 3.
I'm number 3. But anyway, it's, I don't know.
Is that 10 being the highest or 1 being the highest?
Oh, 1, hopefully 1 being the highest. I don't want to be that bad. It sucks, man. No, it doesn't suck. It's actually awesome to be ranked, period. To be even in the conversation. I'm sure someone out there is like, dude, one day people are going to rank me.
Yeah, you could be sick. You could be not even thought about. Yeah. I mean, in that scheme.
But also, we're like thought about and considered in a world where paint doesn't matter.
How do you mean?
Well, nobody gives a performance baggers like paints.
Well, if paint didn't matter, every motherfucking performance bagger would still be the factory
look like
color.
His.
Yep, it looked like his. It looked like mine right now, which that's on the agenda. But I got to get the cocksucker back together before I can even talk about painting it. And getting parts has been, I think, just now in the last when we were at the campout, I got the last physical part to put the bike back together.
What was it?
Rear brake caliper for the back. Like I couldn't do the swing arm because I need a radial.
Oh, okay.
Just that. But now it's going to go back together. Probably go to a couple of bike nights, and then we got to figure out paint. Which I was going to call you, but I
no,
guess you only do helmets. So it's cool.
Well, this is the other thing is like if you're trying to. Don't take it personal or whoever does your paint, but every major, if you're in the top 5 painters, right? You're in the top 5, and you think you're going to like decide to get your bike painted before Sturgis right now, you're fucking not even close to being okay.
No, I can't imagine the lead times on getting anybody to paint anything right now.
Well, along with social media making the country smaller as far as communication, people realize that like if they're going to spend a lot of money on something, why not just take it to the person they want to go to, right?
Makes sense.
Same thing with building a bike.
Yep.
I think back in the days when like the chopper builders were building bikes, people were like, you know what, I'm going to spend $100,000 building a chopper. I'm not going to just do it with the person that's available. I'm going to do it with who I want, even if it means I have to drive it there and have this relationship across state lines, right? I think it finally has happened with painters where, you know, people want badass shit and they're just going to fucking go wherever it's at. I mean, there's plenty of really good painters. I mean, there's some in Iowa. There's you know, obviously Poland's over there in Indiana. There's some good ones in Chicago. Yeah. You got a lot to choose from up there in the Northeast. Northeast Midwest kind of thing, you know what I mean? Yep. Where, I mean, there's good ones out in California. You pay the California tax, obviously.
Oh yeah, because they got to pay for all that hazardous disposal and permits and where the rest of the country hasn't quite caught up to the insanity that is.
I mean, honestly, that's what helped me out early on when I started doing dynas and shit. You know, we were doing dynas for $3,000, and everybody was used to paying $5,000 in California. So even with shipping, they were still saving $1,000.
Yeah, that wasn't because of any skill level. It's all the tax and government stuff that goes on over there.
Yeah, it was crazy because when I started doing these podcasts, I would go talk to painters in California, and they all hated each other because they all kind of pulled from the same pool of work, right? Yeah. So they were, you know, a lot of times customers will pit shops against each other because that's sometimes a customer's only way to be a part of the industry is by being a customer. And when they create drama between two shops, that gives them like the sense of like, I'm important.
They're talking about me.
Yeah. I'm the center of attention of this feud. Yeah. Happened millions of times.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
But it happens, man.
Makes sense. Like, it's a thing.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know, man. Wild one.
But yeah, that's. I mean, like you said, you can try to tell me paint's not important in this world until I don't see any crazy paint jobs on these bikes. Yeah, it's got its place. It's important.
It goes back to the thing about hating we were talking about a while ago. Everybody, you know, whether it was a joke or not, and I 100% feel like it was a joke. But when what was it, Papa Juan Guato, or however you say his name, was doing all the memes. Yeah. And he was talking about all the painted up performance baggers getting traded to Daytona. Yeah. Like the paint was the problem, and like it was the low hanging fruit to be the problem, but it's definitely not the problem. Most of the, I don't know. I guess it sucks. It sucks when you like completely like make your whole brand about having rad shit and riding it. Yeah. And then when everybody else starts catching on, they want the rad shit, but they don't ride it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why I'm glad you fucking rode here. That was pretty awesome.
I mean, that couldn't timing wise couldn't have worked out any better. I can't say if I rode back home to Minnesota and then we did this, I could have just turned back around
and rode. Yeah,
because I still got a shop to run and a family to take care of. But the extra couple 100 miles was nice. Yeah, you know, we got here, took a little sunburn, and then the weather just kind of straight. Today was beautiful. Yeah. Like I couldn't have asked for a better day to ride. So
yeah, it's fucking
a little windy.
Dude, it's been windy as shit in Texas.
Like I was getting gusted into the other lane, and I'm like, how the fuck is this little guy? Because he's a lot smaller than me. How's he not blowing all over the place? And I looked at him.
He cuts the wind.
He's just riding the whole way at a 45-degree angle. He's like, fuck it, just pitched.
I don't know. That's a weird thing about here, man. This has been the windiest year of our lives.
See, and I asked somebody that. I don't know if it was at a gas station. I said, is this normal? Like,
it's not.
Because I've not been here. This is my first time to Texas.
No. This is West Texas stuff. Yeah. Usually West Texas is windy as fuck.
Okay.
Yeah, usually it, like, even where I'm at, I don't really have a lot of trees around me. Yeah. So, like, I'm used to having some wind, but even then now it's like my front door is whistling all the time because of the seal. It's like,
it was like when we came in from Oklahoma, there was a stretch and it was just like,
Did you go to like Paris? Or did you?
No, we can't. We did. Yeah, we did.
So if you went that's the way we usually come home. As soon as you cross, pretty much as soon as you get out of Oklahoma, by the time you hit Paris and past Paris, it just turns into fields.
Yeah, and it was just like the wind hammering on us. And I'm like, all right, well, luckily we're not too far out because it was kicking my ass.
Yeah, and then you get on to 30, and it's grown so much on that side of Dallas. Yeah. Traffic's always horrible out there. When did y'all leave the campground? Sunday, right?
No, we fucked around. We got breakfast. midday, probably close to noon. Like,
where'd y'all stay in Dallas?
Down like uptown.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The Hyatt House.
What is that?
Deep Ellum?
Deep
Yeah.
Ellum.
It was outside of
2
Deep
minutes
Ellum.
from there.
Y'all said y'all went out to Deep Ellum last night.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
wanted to go to that pecan, but it was they ran.
Oh,
out of food, so
the
we went
lodge.
to-
Pecan Lodge.
Pecan Lodge.
We went to the slider place.
Yeah.
So-
Did you not go to Reno's over there? Our bike night's right around the corner from there.
Yeah, that's what I thought because it
Yeah.
looked like the handful of pictures I saw, but we just kind of at that point.
Yeah, it's like the next street over.
Every fucking thing we did the whole trip, like when we got into Missouri, like, all right, we need to find some food we haven't eaten since early in the day. Everything was fucking closed. Like, so it was just like a constant fight to eat the whole trip, and it was just like, okay, they have food that looks decent, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, in the most expensive pizza in St. Louis.
Yeah, by the time we got there, the bars were closed, or not the bars were closed, but the kitchens and all the bars were closed. All the restaurants were closed. So, order a pizza to deliver to the hotel. We don't. They called back. We don't have a driver. So, fucking paid to have it. It was a $60 single ass pizza. Like, but when you haven't eaten in that many hours, we hadn't eaten since that.
See, I feel like a good food experience is part of setting things up. So, like, I guess when people come to Dallas, like I have like different ways that I would like. If someone comes in as a podcast here, I pick them at the airport. Like I have options as to, I want to show you Dallas.
Yeah.
I want to show you areas. What type of food you want? It's going to depict what area I take you to, things like that. Obviously, when we would do these podcasts, we get fucked up and things would be closed here, but we always have a Buffalo Wild Wings. So it was always like a safe bet to kind of go there.
Good barbecue this afternoon.
Where'd y'all go?
What was that place called?
Was it Mansfield out there by Justin's?
No, it was. I don't remember what it was called, but it was you walked in, you ordered at their line, and then you went and sat
Was it in
down.
Deep Ellum?
No.
It was a red building. I don't remember the name of it though.
You know what area of town it was?
Was it Rudy's?
I'll see if I can think of it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of what the hell it was called.
Yeah, the only Rudy's out here is in Arlington, though.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't like a.
But that's a big red building, so that's why I thought that.
Trying to think of what the hell.
I went through a barbecue. You figured it out?
No, it was rated top 50. That's how I.
Yeah, it was super good though. Like,
Is there Wi-Fi here?
Yeah.
Quaint Zone 431.
of course it is.
Is it?
But yeah, I mean that's what we were trying to get yesterday.
Yeah.
Was barbecue, and we landed on it today. So
Yeah, there's a handful of barbecue joints that I like a lot here, but
I think it would be either one.
I like lean cut brisket. That's my shit.
Yep.
And but there's a spot on the brisket that is lean.
Yep.
Right, and then there's the normal part that has all the fat.
Yeah.
And when I say lean cut brisket, to some places they cut it from the lean part of the brisket.
Yep. He actually asked us at this joint, like, you want lean or the other?
And so the last 3 or 4 barbecue places I went to, they just would try to cut the fat off, and they do a shit job because they're trying to rush. I'm like, this is not what I asked for. You know what I mean? And I didn't, buying a fucking pound or half pound of meat.
Yeah.
It's like,
Are
dude.
they weighing it before they cut the fat too?
Yeah, probably. But
All right, I'm gonna pop.
One more time.
yeah, you're good. You figuring it out?
What was the
With the
password?
I get it for you.
Go find it.
I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah, these metal buildings out here, it turns us into a quaint zone.
Yeah.
So when I got off yesterday, or when I got home yesterday, I showered, kicked it for a minute, and then we went and saw Doctor Strange last night.
Was that good?
I didn't like it.
Okay.
I didn't like it.
I know they're starting to get a little weird with some of it.
It's not so much that they're getting weird. It's just that they keep putting woke shit in all this stuff.
Oh, really?
There's like hints of it. It's like it doesn't like. I don't care that people are gay. It's not a problem at all. Like it's weird. It's just weird that it feels like it's forced into everything.
Yeah, like, okay, this is what we're about, so you have to watch this now.
Yeah, we have to do it this way, and it has to be all this, like, I guess, hopefully not to cancel myself right here. I guess I'm just, like, not interested in a whole bunch of women's superhero movies.
Yeah.
I mean, as a man, like I just like want to watch a man do it. I mean, I get that there's like Captain Marvel, Wonder Woman, all those movies. I fucking love them. It's great. But it seems like every like male version of a movie has to have like this woman character that's not just a leading or like a supporting actress, but it's like they're the I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's just like it's not.
They're trying to play fair on all the gender.
I don't know. Like I just want to watch good superhero movie and be as cool as they used to be. They're just not like the last couple. I mean, Spider-Man was dope, but the last couple, or even before Spider-Man, like the Eternals was weak as fuck.
I didn't care for that one. I was disappointed in that one.
Saying the Chinese dude one was pretty good. I don't mean to be too racist. Shanghai. What was it? Yeah, save me. Slowbone.
Okay.
Where's that?
That's so Slowbone. That's the same guys that do Maple Burger. It's their sister company.
Oh, from the on Maple Avenue.
Yeah. It's the same one. It's off of Industrial.
Not bad. Yeah.
So.
It was good. A dude from home, the guy that runs our race team, he said to go to Rodeo Goat.
Yeah, Rodeo.
Yeah, Rodeo. They have good hamburgers. Yeah.
I like going there. It's a little pricey compared to some of the other places, but it's actually really good.
Don't sleep on Buffalo Wild Wings hamburgers, dude. They're fucking legit, dude.
I honestly.
I had one today at lunch.
Last time I've been to a Buffalo Wild Wings.
They have the best lunch specials ever.
Go get you 5 kids. You don't go out that often.
Shit.
Can't afford it.
Let's sell them kids. Fuck them kids, man.
Them kids. God, if I had a nickel for every time I said that, I'd have enough money to go to Buffalo Wild Wings at least.
Well, I usually go there for lunch quite a bit because they have a $10 lunch special with a drink. So like 10 boneless wings, fries, and a drink, or a hamburger, which is a double fucking cheeseburger, fries, and a drink for $10, dude. You go to Panera Bread.
You can't even have McDonald's for $10.
No, I go to Panera Bread. I walk out there for $14.
Yeah,
and then even with a tip.
You got a tip at Panera?
No, I'm just saying, I can go to Buffalo Wild Wings and tip them tip them good and still for a $10 meal, tip them decent, and walk out there with a $15 meal, and I feel like I had better quality food than McDonald's. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, you're sitting and somebody's physically attending to your needs, and
I go there so much for lunch that they keep Red Bulls in there.
Oh, they got the
and since
special.
I tip
streaming's out, or it's going in and out.
Oh shit! All right. I tip.
Look at my wife chiming in. She knew exactly what it was.
She knew it was Slowbone. Yeah, should have looked. But yeah, I tip them so much that like this one bartender, she just gives me a Red Bull when I was like, hey, can I get a Red Bull? Can you sip?
Well,
she's like, yeah,
there's
here you
a
go.
perk to not being an asshole.
Yeah, and
also taking care of the people that are taking care of you. Like they remember that.
Yeah,
it works for you. You want that Red Bull anyways.
So for me here, like I'm in the shop alone all day long.
Yep.
And so for me that run to eat out gives me a little bit of like human interaction.
That's me in the winter months.
For real?
I don't have. It's just me in the shop. Nobody comes. Nobody pulls up to the shop on a bike because it's maybe on a snowmobile.
Yeah.
But I'm just in there all day. So I go in the house or whatever because my shop's on the property. My wife works from home most days, so at least I have some kind of human interaction.
Yeah.
Get tired of listening to your ass. You got to get faster at these podcasts. I'm running out of material to listen to in the shop, but you just go inside or I'll run to the hardware store.
Yeah.
Kick it with the old timer for 10 minutes, talk about bolts, but.
You're gonna be that dude walking out of Walmart that strikes up a conversation with some dude in the parking lot.
I'm not that guy. I'm not. Where the fuck? I was just somewhere. Where the hell was I at? I don't venture out and go to the mall often, but I was just somewhere and the guy just stops me. I was at fucking Costco. And this guy walks out and I'm just in the parking lot and he's like, man, since Biden's been in office, I ain't been able to find olives. Where the fuck did that come from? And I was not aware. Is that a thing? So I talked to him for a couple minutes, but I'm not talk to strangers, dude. I'm gonna walk
fucking
up
olives, dude.
Yeah, dude, I was
he put a sticker on the fucking
the empty olive case. I did that.
Brendan, your wife let me know where we ate.
Yeah, she right there.
Yeah.
She really wanted us to know.
She's all over it. So, yeah.
She still ride?
She does. She never bought a bike. She owns a fucking pile of them now, but she doesn't ride.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Never did it. So
she just likes to curate babies.
Yeah, she's over it now. So I'm hoping when Max just turned 3.
Nice.
Hoping that as he gets a little bigger, we can start going to have some adventures.
That's dope. Yeah.
Because that when we first got married, that was a pretty big part of our life. So
yeah, that's dope.
I took her to bike night last year on the bagger. I didn't put a backrest on her or anything. I just let's go.
Yeah.
And that step up seat, we got there. She's like, fuck this seat.
Yeah, my wife's the same way. She fucking hates.
I went and got her a road sofa, and I'm like, well, if I'm gonna.
Does she like that more?
She hasn't been on it yet. I just got it, so hopefully we can get her on it. And I'm like, if I'm gonna get one of those, I got one with the rider back.
Everything's clicking well. Like I don't know. I fantasize about doing a cross country trip with my wife.
Yeah.
When she's being cool and I'm being cool to her.
Is that something she'd be into?
I think that she wants to, but it is a comfort thing for her as well.
I mean, that's
for me, it's like a letting go of the cool for a little bit of the comfort for her. Because I hate riding with a tour pack and backrest on my bike because I feel like I look like an old man.
Yep. I mean, that's historically what it is. Yeah. But
I would if she would be down to. I mean, I need to get like a setup. Because it's not just it's like she has her own survival kit that she needs to take, and then I have mine. Then I have camera equipment.
Yeah.
So it's like that has to find a place on the bike along with clothes.
A little trailer. It sounds like.
I'm not. That's extreme of what I'm talking about.
Tour pack's old manish. Yeah. This is like.
I got a regular tour pack, but we're talking maybe going to a king tour pack as a sacrifice.
Yeah.
But no, that is something I really. Traveling most of this country on a bike and being able to do it with my friends is amazing, but I do crave experience that with my wife.
Absolutely. Yep.
I really do.
And it's a different dynamic.
But and this isn't talking shit at all. This is just the fact is that when me and my buddies get off a bike off a 400 or 500 or 600 mile day, we're all beat, we're wore out.
Yeah.
But we all motivate each other to muster up the energy to go to that bar or that restaurant that night and not to waste this stop in Durango or wherever, right?
Yeah, but you do it a little more proddingly, like, hey, pussy, da-da-da-da. You're going to tell your wife that?
She wants to be my best friend.
This is how I talk to my best friends, damn it.
Yeah. No, I just wanted, I think it's more of a, I think, I don't want to be that way to my wife, obviously, but I think it's more of a, look, we're here tonight, and then we're gone.
Yep.
So we can sleep tonight away, or we can fucking just take whatever energy we have and fucking go out there and enjoy the rest of this night. And it might not be a late one. It might be. Why?
Yeah.
Don't put expectations on life.
Let the night dictate.
You know what I mean?
That. Absolutely.
And so that's kind of more the thing that I would notice as could be problematic. See, we gave you the Wi-Fi password, and you're fucking up our stream.
Yeah. Oh, he's over there on Pornhub.
Yeah, well,
it's been a long.
The audio's still going. So
lonely weekend.
Bathroom, but I got off of it now.
Yeah, you did.
I'm gonna clean the bathroom up.
No, that's something I really want to do. I think it's, it's fun. But it's also a perspective thing. If my old lady didn't care about seeing the country the way I do, then she would always be like, we could have flew here. But she's not that way.
Yeah.
We've always enjoyed road trips together and things like that.
No, that's killer. I cannot wait till her and I get back to a place where we can do that stuff. Not in nothing on the kids, but fuck them kids. The little ones, little. You gotta kind of grasp that because it goes so fast. But I'm excited to, I don't know, grow. As corny as that's gonna sound, I'm excited to do all that shit, just her and I. Mm-hmm. That you can't do when you have little kids or even big kids.
How old is y'all's oldest kid?
20.
Damn, that's not bad.
Yeah, so we got 20, 18, 15, who's getting his ass beat when I get home. Between me, you, and the man on the moon, if you're watching. 6 and 3. So, I mean, there's a spread.
So you got a full-time babysitter, right?
She's got a full-time job. Okay. She's kind of starting to come into her own. As shitty as that's going to sound, but she's figuring out who she is. So, she's doing cool guy shit. She bought a sporty chop at the middle.
Who did your
our oldest, my stepdaughter, our oldest daughter.
Oh shit, that's cool.
So we got her. She was interested in riding. We got her like a Kawasaki 700. I couldn't even tell you what the fuck it is off the top of my head. She rode it, learned, got decent with it, and then she's like, went and bought this hardtail sporty chop and thinks, I mean, it's ugly, but it goes well.
Yeah.
So now we're like getting into that maintenance stuff. I'm like, hey, remember when I told you at the end of season to like, run that thing out of gas and make sure, you didn't do none of that. So now you're going to learn how to rebuild a carb. So.
Well, that's kind of cool though.
Yeah.
Man.
So we went to, the day after she got it, we went to a little chopper show up by where he lives, about an hour away. And my ass hurts. And I'm like, you ride a chopper. Mine's fine. I'm on a road glide.
Yeah.
So, because she's excited to like do some more of this stuff. And
that's
like,
awesome, man.
Hey, do you want to ride to, we're going to Milwaukee. So you think you can make it? Like, we can get you figured out a different bike. Like, we got bikes, but let's do it. So now I'm trying to figure out, like, for Sturgis, can we get a house and we can just bring everybody?
That'd be dope. Yeah.
Like, bring the puppy. We got a lot.
I bet having the daughter that's into it as well kind of helps motivate the younger siblings a little bit, maybe. Or you got a lot of Fortnite kids.
Not even that. Like, the next daughter down. So it's two girls are the oldest. The next daughter down, she's kind of just does her own thing. And my son, I drag him out to the shop. My oldest son, he's 15. And basically, anytime somebody comes out to the shop, he like sees that as like Dad's gonna be tied up because he's long-winded. Fucking, and out he goes. Where my hope's strong for the 3-year-old because dude will come out there and like grab a ratchet and like stick it in the whole lift, and like he sees the motions. I'm like, he might be the guy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I guess it'll die with me.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I don't know. I feel like there's an age that you take your kids on like road trips.
Yeah.
Where it'll resonate, things like that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'll tell you what, it ain't 15. So oldest boy's been getting in a little trouble. So I said, I'm very busy all the time. I said, maybe he needs some one-on-one time with me. Maybe that. So I'm like, hey, come with me. We'll road trip out to Sturgis. We'll pick up this Challenger, do the thing. An hour into it, he figures out he can crawl in the back seat and sleep. He slept the whole way there and the whole fucking way back. I said, we got home. I said, you're the worst road trip partner ever. Like, it's your duty to talk to me, keep me awake, the music.
Yeah.
Like, at this point, you're
DJ, bro.
You were just an expense at this point, bro. Yeah. Like, you ate food but didn't fucking, like, kick in on the conversation.
You need to send them to one of those, like, scared straight things. What do they do?
Bring them to prison? I fuck dudes. You don't want to live here. Like, whoa, bro. Like, what the fuck? Yeah.
No, that's a rad. I don't know, man. I got lucky with my kids, but my son's very into Fortnite and video games and things like that, which I am. I like video games too, so I connect with him on that, and that's kind of like my excuse a little bit as well, is that like the more I can stay connected with the world that he lives in, I feel like the more that I can kind of hold his attention whenever I do talk, even though like he doesn't like coming to the shop. Yeah. But at least when he does, he'll come in here and sit in here and put some YouTube on and things like that. But
he's willing to be present.
Yeah, kind of.
For the most part.
I just hope that as he's 12, he just turned 12 last month. As he continues to grow in age, like certain things will become a little bit more appealing to him.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's also my job to figure out how to make it appealing to him. That's the weird thing, right? Yeah. Because my dad and my grandfather, even though I respect my grandfather a lot, they never made this world appealing to me. It was the world that eventually showed me why it was appealing.
But you didn't know it was appealing till you knew.
Exactly. That is also, I didn't accept it.
Before it was appealing, you're like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be here. I want to be out, for you, playing basketball or whatever the fuck. And I didn't have that. Yeah. So I didn't have, like, my dad, laborer his whole life. Like, he didn't have a hot rod or any of that cool shit. And then my stepdad's the chief engineer at a fire department. So actually I cut my teeth mechanically with him, and I'd fucking follow him around at the fire department for hours. Like, hand me this, hand me that. Slide under the truck,
Yeah.
He'd explain the shit to me, but I never had like anybody in my life that had like cool cars or bikes or, you know, it just kind of happened.
I think it's that what you just said though is it's the explanation. It's like
Yeah.
someone taking the time out of their career, if you will, in their busy life, to like try to make it apparent, make it known that, hey, I know you're here watching this. Let me show you what I'm doing.
Yep, and let me
right. Even though you don't care,
yeah.
But I feel like that even though my son doesn't care about what I do for a living, eventually he will see how much I tried to bring him into it as he gets older.
Well, and as we get older, we realize like you look back and go, yeah, okay,
yeah.
So it'll all pan out, but you gotta put the effort in. You don't know if it's the right effort. That's the thing. There ain't no fucking rule book.
It isn't. Yeah.
Like you do the best you got, and hopefully it shakes out. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's just fucking strange, man. It's you know, when you're a kid and you think like, oh, my parent. I mean, you think about certain generational gaps, right? Like between like, I don't know, like the things that I loved in the '90s. You know, let me see how do I word this. I think probably the biggest generational gap is probably like our millennial generation that I'm a part of. I don't know how old you are. I assume you're
Same
millennial
age.
as well.
Yep.
So, and then you look at like the generation of like your 15-year-old or my 12-year-old. It's so much different, but so similar.
It really is.
You know?
We're dealing with the same bullshit 20 years later.
Yeah.
You know, effectively. Like, and that's how I try to reason. Obviously, when you're 15, you don't believe that. Like, oh, you think I forgot what it was like to be 15? It wasn't that fucking long ago, bro. I only had you when I was 21.
Yeah.
Like, I did the same shit.
So when you were at Justin's, did you meet his apprentice? Did he tell you about him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We talked about it because
that dude is fucking rad, man.
Yep.
At 16 years old, rides a bike or something to school every day.
You know how much cooler I would have been in fucking high school
Dude,
if I rode a motherfucking
I'd have
motorcycle?
AIDS.
Yeah.
I'd have AIDS. Straight up. I'd be proud of it.
I was going to say,
fuck y'all, I
you know how
died.
much more pussy I'd have got, but I meant, you know,
Yeah.
I saved it, dumbed it down a little
Dude,
bit.
I'd be
by being
fucking
cooler.
teachers, bro.
Yo, you want to ride on the back of my hog?
Dude, is that Jace with Mrs. fucking... I'm like, get in, losers. But no, that's I don't know, man. I feel like that kid, from what Justin's told me and what he had said, is like that dude he's 16 or 17 years old, something like that. He's on a bike and he has other buddies his age that ride too, and they go on camping trips together on their bike.
Man,
I'm like, that's so fucking cool, man. I want to get this dude in here and do a podcast with him and get him drunk, dude.
probably not a good idea, dude.
I'm not gonna have sex with him. Is that the same?
I don't think so.
Have someone else get the beer for him.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I was
I'll have a camera. His dad will sit over there. I'll put a camera on him, and he goes,
signing
"He's good."
consent waiver. Like,
Hey, Dad, is that okay? And he goes,
there you go.
it's his thing in the camera.
Can't come
every time.
back. He did the thumbs up.
Dude, that's his dad. Yeah.
I was talking to Justin, like that would be the ideal situation. Like you go to like a VOTEC class, like out at school or co-op or whatever you want to call it, and you got some kid that's in high school for half the day, and then he comes and works in the shop and like has no preconceived notion that he like knows everything.
Yeah.
Somebody that actually wants to learn, and he's like, yeah, I kind of got that, and he like gave me the whole story about it, and I'm like, that's badass.
Yeah, it's really cool. Jealous.
Yeah,
Jealous.
me too.
It's pretty badass. Well, dude, I think you need to go to bed.
Yeah, we got
You got to leave at 4 a.m.
15-hour ride ahead of us, so.
Well, I do appreciate you coming to the camp out for one, coming to do this podcast for another.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Tell everybody your website, your Instagram, where people can find you and find out about all your cool products.
All right. Facebook. Instagram, we're prior_performance. And www.priorperformance.com is the website. So thanks for having us on. I mean,
Yeah,
this
sure,
has
man.
been a cool thing.
I appreciate you coming out, and thank you for coming too.
Yeah.
Thank you for leaning in and chugging fucking jalapeno tequila this weekend.
Thanks for flying me home. Like, would have been a shitty solo ride, so at least I got a partner for that.
Hell yeah.
I don't want to ride home by myself either, so I was just tagging along, dude.
Hell yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, yeah, dude, I appreciate it, man. Thank you, 100%. Looking forward to seeing you at more events, and I'll probably see you in Sturgis, and we'll party